Meeting of the Texas Veterans Commission to order. Mr. Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
First, I'd like to welcome our new commissioner, Commissioner Chris Cantu. Thank you. So then we'll kick it off with the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag. And so Commissioner Cantu will lead us in that. And then Commissioner Wright will lead us in the pledge to the Texas flag.
Everybody stand and face the flag. Put your hands over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. I request Chip Osborne to come forward to give the opening prayer.
Let us pray. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thank you, Lord, for an amazing fiscal year. Thank you for protecting our employees from harm. Thank you for the opportunity to serve veterans across the state of Texas. Thank you for all of our service members who had made the ultimate sacrifice that we might have freedom and life. Lord, renew our spirit as we close this fiscal year and open a new one to support Texas veterans and their families. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen.
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 Next agenda item is public comment. At this time, I open the floor to any members of the public who wish to address the commission on matters under its purview. Please limit your comments to no more than 5 minutes. And remember, this is a time for the commission to consider public comments, and any discussion or deliberation by a commission for matters not posted on the agenda must be limited to a proposal to place on a future agenda or confined to statements of fact or existing policy regarding the subject. And I do not have anyone that has signed up for public comment. Is that correct? Okay. Well, then I will close our public comment. Moving on to the consent agenda. At this time, does any commissioner wish to remove any items from the consent agenda and place it for discussion? Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Okay, I heard a motion from Commissioner Wright and a second from Commissioner Cantu. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to the next agenda item, which is reports. First report is, I'll ask, this is for the FY 2026 internal audit report, and I'll ask Richard Galindo from Garza Gonzalez and Associates to give the report.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you for having us today, and Mr. Executive Director. We're pleased to present our report over the annual internal audit report for the Texas Veterans Commission. We include 2 reports that we performed during the year, and we perform procedures to assess the effectiveness of the Texas Veterans Commission's internal control process in place over the records management area and the complaints intake processing area. Our procedures determined that there were no instances of noncompliance. However, we did identify certain matters detailed in this report that present opportunities to strengthen internal controls and enhance the Commission's policies and procedures. We also conducted follow-up procedures on previous recommendations that have not been fully implemented during the year. We have discussed these comments and have the management responses that have been included in the report for you. The report was prepared by Garza Gonzalez and Associates, an independent certified public accounting firm under generally accepted government auditing standards, the international standards for the professional practice of internal auditing, and the Institute of Internal Auditors Code of Ethics contained in the professional practices framework. There are 7 items that are required to be included in your annual report, and we'll cover. The first is compliance with posting requirements, and an approved fiscal year 2027 audit plan will be posted once it's approved. And the fiscal year 2026 internal audit annual report, which we are presenting here, will also be posted and delivered to the state governing bodies. The second item is consulting and non-audit services, and there were none to be reported in the current year. External quality assurance and review, our last peer review report of our firm is dated January 20th, 2025. The internal audit plan that has been presented and adopted by the commission is required to be included here. And on page 5, we list the 21 areas and the areas that have been audited over the last 3 years. For the records management area, page 7, the records management area of the commission is responsible for ensuring state records are retained in accordance with applicable laws and regulations as outlined in Chapter 441 of the Texas Government Code and Chapter 6 of the Texas Administrative Code. The General Counsel has been designated as the records management officer by the commission, and the duty is to ensure that compliance with legal requirements, develop procedures, monitor program performance, and provide training and guidance to staff. Some of the areas we covered in the report were records retention schedule, which is last certified by the State Library Commission in March of 24, and the next recertification is in March of 29. We also covered record storage, both for physical records and electronic records, records disposition, and the most recent disposition was conducted during August and December of 2025. The scope of our audit was between the period of September 1, 2025 to March 31st, 26, and the disposition conducted during fiscal years 25 and 26. The other area that we're presenting here today is the complaint and intake processing area. The complaint and intake processing area is performed by the Government Relations Department, and it's responsible for administering the agency's complaint intake and processing. Complaints are typically submitted through the agency's website through an online contact form. Upon receipt of the complaint, it's determined whether it is within the jurisdiction, and if so, it's included in the database named the complaints tracker. As of May 31st, 2026, the commission has received and processed 55 complaints. We have one comment over the records management area, and I'll cover the recommendation. We recommend that the commission review and update its current records retention schedule to ensure it is complete, accurate, and aligns with current records retention practices. Specifically, the commission should verify that all records listed in the record retention schedule are maintained by the agency and remove, revise, or update entries that are no longer required. That covers the record retention schedule. If there's any questions on that.
Any questions,
Records-
commissioners? Okay, thank you. Continue.
Okay. On the complaints and intake processing area, we have 2 recommendations and 3 observations that we've included in the report. Over complaint monitoring and closure controls, we have a recommendation that the commission establish expected timeframes for complaints to be reviewed, periodically review open complaints to ensure the status accurately reflects the progress of each complaint, provide training to staff, and restricting the ability to change a complainant's status to complaints. Only the department heads should be able to make that change to designate that a complaint has been completed. The second recommendation is over complaint status notification. We recommend that the commission revise the complaint process policy to require written acknowledgement of receipt of a complaint, provide periodic status notifications, and documentation that required certifications were issued and retained. As stated, all management responses are included with this report. The 3 observations are over assignment of unique complaint tracking numbers, the complaint priority status, and publicly available complaint procedures. The annual internal audit report also includes follow-up of prior year internal audits in covering the prior report over veteran entrepreneur program. There were 3 comments. Each of the comments are not fully implemented, but there was progress towards implementing those processes, those recommendations, I'm sorry. And under the Women's Veteran Program from May of 25, there were 3 complaints that were not considered fully implemented as of the prior year. Each of those recommendations have now been fully implemented. In order to meet the requirements of the internal audit annual report requirements, we are also required to report whether external audit services were procured, and the only procurement was over these internal audit services, and there were no other procurements. The commission has provided information on their website to cover reporting suspected fraud and abuse. And the last item is documenting that the 2027 internal audit plan will be reported at the November 2026 board meeting. And I'm open to any questions over any of the report provided here this morning.
Thank you. Any questions, commissioners?
No question.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the services you provide, and we'll see you in November with the audit plan. Is that correct?
That's correct. We'll be back here in November with the audit plan, and thank you very much for having us to present this report this morning.
Thank you for facing that traffic from San Antonio. Heard it was bad this morning.
It was a little rough this morning. Thank you.
Next agenda item is agenda item 4B, which is our agency departments and program updates. I'll call on Charlie Cato, who is a director of Veteran Benefit Division, to start us off.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chair, Mr. Palladino. For the record, my name is Charlie Cato. I'm the Division Director for Veterans Benefits. I'll go through my 4 departments here briefly, just to give you an update on what's been happening. Starting off with the Education Department, the National Association of State Approving Agencies met last week in Charleston. We have quite a few of our staff that participate in that, and in the committees that are there. They all went to the meeting. Also at that meeting, David, who was the senior vice president, was elected as president of NASA for the next year. So he'll be taking on those duties along with. And you'll see David a little bit later. He's on the agenda for the VEER Awards. On the HCAD department, if you remember last meeting, I introduced Dr. Horacio Maldonado as our new director for the Healthcare Advocacy Department. He hit the ground running, and he has been doing a lot of traveling over this past quarter. He has visited all of his offices across the state, toured the VA facilities that they're in, and established relationships, met with the administrators of all the facilities. And so he's building bridges and making connections that'll hopefully result in some better office space for us in the future. So that was really, really good. Onto the mental health department. Last week, 14 staff members from our Veterans Mental Health Department participated and volunteered at the 2026 Texas Suicide Prevention Symposium in New Braunfels. That's a 2-day symposium with professionals, advocates, educators, military and veteran partners, and community leaders. And obviously by the title, they work on saving lives and strengthening suicide prevention across the state of Texas. This is a fitting reminder opportunity here because September is Suicide Prevention Month. So in the month of September, the VMHD will relaunch the Governor's Challenge that we just took over from HHSC. So there'll be some good stuff working on that. And then finally, from the claims department, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to ask you to come on down. We have an award to present, formerly known as the VA Pillar of Excellence Award. It is now the NASDA Pillar of Excellence Award, and we've nominated the claims department. So I'd like to ask Sal to come up. They won the award for in the category of customer experience. When we nominated them for the award, they had implemented the Waitwell system for great appointments and implemented kiosks for the walk-ins at our locations so we could help veterans not feel like they're just sitting in a waiting room staring at a wall waiting for someone. They can see the kiosks, they can see where they're progressing in the line, in the queue to get helped. We've established after-hours appointment times so we can help veterans when they're not at work. And then we've standardized all the appointment documentation. They've got an acronym that's SAFE, so everybody puts the same type information in the same order in their management system so anybody can pick up the claim. So it's greatly helped the customer experience on the claim side. So congratulations, Sal. Thanks to your team. You know what trophy case goes in. And subject to your questions, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Charlie. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Next up is Chip Osborne, Director of Veteran Services Division.
Good morning, Chair Kerner, Commissioners, Mr. Palladino, and guests. For the record, again, my name is Chip Osborne, Director of Veteran Services Division. I provided all of the commissioners a one-pager concerning a recent program that the Texas Veterans Commission was actually awarded from our United States Small Business Administration. Our entrepreneur program had an opportunity to actually submit a grant application to them. We successfully received the official word on May the 1st that we could go into a pre-award. That award amount is $1 million. The grant year starts in May and ends in April. It is a 5-year renewal, so basically it's a $5 million grant for us that will end on April of 2031. 31. So that means that roughly at the latter part of 2029, the first part of 2030, most likely we will renew and try to continue this grant. Very excited for Megan Thomas, who is our current director for our entrepreneur program. In a nutshell, what does this mean? This means that we can take a veteran from what I call cradle to grave, and that is the standing up of the formation of their company that they wish to stand up, to help them with their business plan development, get them fully registered with the state of Texas, then help them and assist them where they can get capital resources to actually function and operate, fully, of hiring other folks and also invest back into Texas economy. So this is really a full wraparound services that our agency is now going to be able to offer those veterans. Not only the veterans, one of our primary missions is to work with the transitions veterans that are coming off of active duty and coming back into the civilian world. So we have two options. They can also go to our VES program, Katie Thomas, start their job, start saving up some money, because again, that's what a lot of these veterans lack, is some capital. Have a little bit of capital and slowly work a progression of going from part-time with their entrepreneur business into eventually full-time. This will set them up for great success. I want to thank Commissioner Kerner and Mr. Palladino for attending the grand ceremony that we held in the month of June down in San Antonio, Texas at St. Philip College. That was the first of the VBOC programs that we have stood up. We're going to stand up 4 more in the state of Texas. And let me just give you those locations: El Paso, Houston, Killeen, and Abilene. There are currently 2 existing locations right now. The Dallas-Fort Worth area is Arlington. We will take that entity over in grant year 27, as well as the UT Rio Grande Valley area in Edinburgh. We will absorb that one as well. So that will be a total of 7 VBOCs peppered across our state to help our veterans. So again, I'm just very excited to announce this, and I just wanted to share with our commissioners, subject to your questions.
Thank you, Chip. Any questions?
Question.
So the $1 million, is that going to fund all 7 of them eventually, or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it was as we ramp up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And 2 of them are remote for Oklahoma and Arkansas.
Oh, thank you so much, ma'am. You're absolutely correct. We read my piece of paper. We also assist with the state of Oklahoma and Arkansas. It is our understanding, Megan and I, that eventually they will do an announcement for the state of Oklahoma where they can potentially have their own VBOC program. But right now we are assisting those 2 states.
Thank you, Chip. I'm really excited about this program. I
Yes,
know we've been
ma'am.
talking about
Yes,
this for a
ma'am.
while. And this is going to be reflected in our LAR as well.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So
Yes,
we'll
ma'am.
talk about that
It's actually
shortly.
an exceptional item for our entrepreneur program as well. Okay. And then if there are no more questions on that, I am going to ask that we call up Irv Elos from our grant for veteran services. We've been remiss and we've been needing to do this, but we'd like to give you a brief overview of our grant program that we inherited for $10 million that is solely dedicated to mental health, and that is our Texan Veteran and Family Alliance Grant Program. Turn it over to Irv.
Thank you.
And then that will conclude our briefing.
Thank you.
Thank you and good morning, Chairwoman Kerner, Commissioners, Mr. Palladino, and guests. My name is Irvie Leos Jr., Grants for Veteran Services Director. The item I will be presenting is the Texas Veterans and Family Alliance Grant Program. This information provided for review is in the SharePoint folder labeled 5, Reports, Report on Agency Department and Programs, Veteran Services Division, Texas Veterans and Family Alliance, TV plus FA, Overview. The file is Veterans Family Alliance TV and FA Overview. This folder contains the document I will summarize in my report. The TV and FA grant program was created in 2015 during the 84th Texas legislative session and provided to Health and Human Services Commission to manage. The grant program is for mental health treatment and services for veterans and their families, along with supportive and navigation services such as case management and referrals. The award amount is $10 million per grant year. The grant period corresponds with the state fiscal year, starting September 1st through August 31st of the following year. In 2025, during the 89th Texas legislative session, the program was transferred from HHSC to TVC to start on September 1st of 2025. Due to the short notice after the legislative session, HHSC and TVC collaborated, and TVC took full control of the grant program on March 1st, 2026. Eligible organizations or local mental health authorities, local behavioral health authorities, nonprofit organizations, educational institutes, and governmental entities are able to apply and be awarded. TV and FA grant awards require cost-sharing funds or matching funds, which may include cash or in-kind contributions from any person, but must not include state or federal funds. The percentage has varied from 25% to 100%. The matching by the organization is based on the population of the county where these services are provided. For organizations serving multiple counties, the largest populated county is used to determine the percentage of the matching. Grantees are required to submit monthly expenditure reports for reimbursement, and performance is reported each quarter. In fiscal year 26, there are 16 grantees with award amounts ranging from $125,000 to $2.96 million. The list of grantees starts on page 6 of the document provided. The previous agency did not place limits on the amount to be requested, thus the various amounts that are awarded. In the 2027 fiscal year, the organizations will be renewed under the current TVNFA RFA with the same amount as it has been communicated with the grantees. Currently, the Grants for Veteran Services staff is working on a new FY28 RFA and will be presented to the Commission in November of this year. The plan is for the FY28 RFA to open in early December through early February for applications, with awards being made in May 2027 and the grant period starting on September 1st of 2027. Pending any questions, that concludes my presentation on the TUNFA grant program.
Any questions? Yes, Commissioner Wright.
And I'm trying to understand how we're selecting these. Are these going through our normal FVA process, or is the staff just handling these?
Commissioner, in the previous agency, the staff handled them. We are looking, as we develop the RFA, we're looking at how we plan on doing it. Okay. But I believe the staff is going to be partaking in at least part of the process.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, Commissioners? I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm looking at the list here. A lot of these names look familiar.
Yes, ma'am.
And they feel like we give them grants from the TVC to do from our original grant program.
Yes, ma'am.
To do health care. And then now they're also getting another grant from us in a different category to do the same thing. Do we have an opportunity here to merge these programs to find some way where we're not giving the same organization two separate grants for the same service?
That could be a possibility, ma'am. I know I've discussed with the executives about possibly doing that, but again, that's prairie to the commissioners to make that decision, because you're correct. We have the FEA VMH grant category, and in this similarities, but yet they're kind of separated. There's more guidance from the FEA VMH grant programs than there are in the TVNFA. I'm looking, as we start developing the RFA for these grants, is trying to make it more in line. So it is something we need to discuss.
Do we legally have to do a different RFA for this grant program than our current grant program?
The way I understand it, ma'am, it's very similar. It doesn't specify that we have to be separated, but it does. It gets in more into the government code gets more into the nuances of how its selection is done and what to look at.
Okay, so the government code is gives more specifics for us on this area.
Yes, ma'am.
And this comes from GR, right? It's $10 million, general revenue, which is different than our other program, which comes from lottery sales predominantly.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I would really like us to look at how we could merge this, or at least reflect it in our FEA grant or RFA program, because if they're going to apply for this, I don't want them applying for both at the same time for the exact same services if it's going to do the exact same thing.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
so I guess if I'm understanding, ma'am, you would want the FEA VMH program moved over to the TVNFA program.
Potentially. I'd like to see what that would look like. But at the same time, when we're getting applicants for the VMH program in the FVA. Sorry for all the acronyms, Chris. Veteran Mental Health Program under our Funds for Veteran Assistance. I need to know how we're going to evaluate applicants that are applying for both and how we're going to take that into account. Because
Yes,
I know
ma'am.
currently they were able to do that because one was with Health and Human Services and one was with us. But now it kind of seems like double dipping, if you will, when it's the same service.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if you could please consider that.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that addressed at all in the RFA that we're seeing today?
Unfortunately, no, ma'am. No, that it has not. I mean, we would have to address it in the TVNFA RFA.
Okay. We could do that. I don't want to slow down the process for the FVA RFA. Sorry. But we can potentially, when we put out the RFA for the other grant, say, hey, you can only, if this is what we decide, we want to say only one, you can give them the option to apply for one or the other under that other one. So,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. And that's not final, but I'd like to see what that would look like because it might impact how much some of these organizations get. I know the TVFA, is that what we're calling it? What are we calling this new grant program?
It's TVFA, ma'am. There's a plus in the middle, but it's Texas Veterans and Family Alliance, and that was always the acronym TV plus FA.
We have to say TV plus FA?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. So TV plus FA program, that's GR. But look to see if there's any opportunity where we could up it with some of our lottery dollars in there. I know we also have an exceptional item to try to increase the GR that goes to that.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
I don't want to reduce the amount of grants we give to veteran mental health across the board. I just want to make sure we're evaluating them all appropriately and not giving two different grants with two different criteria to the same organization.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, I looking at it and what you're proposing, ma'am, I would say that we do not, I guess, and again, it's privy to the commissioners, is do not approve the VMH piece as when I present it and move it all over to TVNFA. I think as a management standpoint, it would make it much easier to run all VMH under the TV plus FA grant.
Okay, let's think through how you want to do that
Yes, ma'am.
because we're going to have to give that instruction to the applicants.
Yes, ma'am.
And Catherine, if you could take a look for me in the TV plus FA. Oh, sorry, I'm not going to like that acronym. Program. It says something about cost sharing. I know some of our partners had kind of, I don't want to say complained, but they had some concerns about 25% of the grant they're going to have to pay for and get, of their own as a cost share. And I know you just said it can't come from state or federal funds.
That is correct.
Does that include lottery funds? Because that's not GR. So could we kind of make it easier for them and they wouldn't have to pay that? So just look at that because I don't know how specific they were on that. Because if we can alleviate that concern for them. So just kind of let's look at that option there, because if they get some of this TV plus FA funding, they're going to have to pay money into it on top of it and then also get a grant from us. So I want to see how that all works with all the funds, because it seems it's going to be complicated.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. And that is covered in the RFA about the FVA grants cannot be used as matching in the TV and FA grants.
Oh, it does say that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I added that on
We
there, ma'am.
always said that, or?
We did not have it in language, but they have started asking, so we put it in the FVA RFA.
Is that a legal opinion on that? Do we? Okay, well, we'll get to that when we
Yes,
get to
ma'am.
that part of the agenda. But
Yes,
we'll,
ma'am.
we'll put a pin in that conversation. But
Okay.
I want to take a look at that.
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Sorry, I had quite a few. Commissioner Wright, Commissioner Cantu. Okay, I really appreciate you briefing us on that. I've been wondering for a while.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks. I believe our next agenda item is agenda item 4C. Deputy Executive Director Sean DeBay will give us his report.
Good morning, Chairwoman, Commissioners, Mr. Palladino, and guests. For the record, my name is Sean DeBay, the Deputy Executive Director for the Veterans. I have just a couple of updates for you, and then I'll be turning it over to Lawrence Cruz to give you an update on the third quarter operating budget, and then to Jeff Ritchie, who's going to give you some really good news about the employee engagement survey that was just recently completed. So we'll start off. There are interim charges. That's going to be next week by the Senate Select Committee on Veteran Affairs. They're going to be handling 3 different charges. The first one will be protecting the integrity of the Department of Veteran Affairs claims. What they're going to be doing is looking at strengthening claims assistance and safeguarding Texas veterans from unaccredited and predatory actors. The next one they're going to talk about is strengthening the military to civilian transition. They're going to be looking at resources made available to Texans who exit military service. And the third one's really about monitoring. There were 2 bills that were passed this last session. One of them was Senate Bill 1814, which provides the Texas Veterans Commission with the resources to build a database, which I'll give an update here in a moment. And then the other bill is House Bill 114, which is transferring we heard some of it, but transferring some of the programs from Health and Human Services over to the Texas Veterans Commission. So they would like an update on the progress of both of those bills. Testifying will be Sal Castillo, the Director for Claims, Brenda Keller, the Director for Veterans Mental Health, and then I'll be testifying on the Veterans Database. Speaking of which, we're calling it Texas Veterans Access. This will be a Salesforce-based platform. It's going to be on the Texas by Texas. If you are familiar with that, that's where you register your vehicle, get your driver's license. This will also be a part of that. So we're excited that that's the platform for it because it gives it a lot of visibility. One of our biggest issues is letting veterans know that we exist, and then all of the veterans' benefits and services that are available to them. Putting it on that platform, we really feel is going to strengthen the visibility and get more veterans to register with this database. 3 main components of this database, just as a reminder. The first is why we're building it, is to let veterans know their services and benefits available to them, especially in the rural areas. It's very difficult for them to maneuver and know what's available to them. The next is going to be a lot easier for our departments to do interagency referrals. Right now, it's very kind of old school. You call up somebody else in another office. If they're in claims, they need help with mental health or starting their own business, they have to do it the old school way. This should be a very easy forward their information over to the other department to get them to also assist the veteran. And lastly, it's about data. So right now, each department does a great job on providing information on how many veterans they've served and how many services they provided. But it's compartmentalized, right? Each department has their own, but we don't know an unduplicated number for an agency. So this will allow us to say, hey, we have served this many veterans, provided this many services in an unduplicated and duplicated manner. So for data, it's going to be tremendous to be able to report the success and how many veterans are taking advantage of the services. Exciting, the first phase, a 3-phase approach. The first phase, the launch will be September 25th, so coming up just over a month. This phase will incorporate our healthcare advocacy department, our women veterans program, veterans entrepreneur, and veterans mental health, all in this first phase. We're also going to utilize data from the Defense Manpower Data Center to be able to outreach those veterans. These are transitioning service members who say, we want Texas to have our contact information. It's going to allow us to use that information to let them know this database is available to them to register in. And then it also is going to have our communications and outreach, the ability to do some marketing and things within that platform. So that's a huge part of it as well. Phase 2 will have the grants for Veteran Services Department. It also have the Hazelwood portion of our Veterans Education Department. Also, I'm excited about this too, is there's going to be at the end of phase 2, the plan is to have a chatbot AI function. This will allow a veteran to be able to put in their information, right? 50% service connected, what benefits are available to a Texas veteran with a service connection of 50% or more, or whatever the case may be. And they should be able to understand, instead of going through our benefits booklet and having to research things on their own, this chatbot AI function should be able to help them determine what benefits are available and then push them to us also for additional information. And then the last phase will bring all of our other departments on board. That should be the end of fiscal year 28. So then it'll be hopefully complete and good to go by then. Right now, they're in the testing phase. So we're ready for the September 25th. Everything's pointing to that as being the launch. And this is the type of presentation that I also give to the committee next week when I testify. So subject to your questions, that's my brief report before turning it over to Lawrence Cruz.
Any questions? Surprisingly, I have a question. How many names do we anticipate getting from DOD? How often do we get that drop?
We get every couple of weeks, and it's thousands of veterans. And the contact information, some of it's good, some of it's not so good. But we're going to really use that, whatever contact information we get, mostly email address. If we get a good email address, that's not like an army.mil type situation, to push them to this, to get them to register for this database. But it's thousands of veterans each week.
So when you say register for the database, what does that mean?
That means going on the Texas by Texas platform. A lot of their information is already going to be in there if they've used it for their driver's license or renewed their car registration, vehicle registration. They should have a lot of that contact information there. And just going in there and saying, yes, I want Texas Vet. I want to know what benefits available. I want to be able to communicate with the Veterans Commission. It's going to be a good communication tool between the veteran and our departments now as well. Instead of emailing or trying to call, they can go through this portal. So we're going to try to get them to register for this database.
Okay. Do we have an outreach plan to the names that come in there? Like, what are we doing with the names that we come in before they register for the database?
Right. Well, they're going to come in. We're going to get that information, and then our communications and outreach team are going to reach out to them, letting them know where to sign up for the platform and give them any other information. So it's going to have to be whatever information we get. And again, some of this information is just not very good. Our long-term goal is to work with other state agencies like the Texas Military Department, with public safety, motor vehicles, and be able to cross-reference this. Right now, one of our issues with the DMDC, the Manpower Data Center, is there's no unique identifier. That's causing a little bit of an issue with being able to make sure we don't have duplicate records in this database. So long term, we're working with the other state agencies. We're already in discussions with them now to how can we reconcile and how can we do checks and balances on this contact information.
Okay. That was going to be my next question, is when will we connect to DMV and getting because when I, get my driver's license, it asks if I'm a veteran.
Yeah.
Right. And it's on my driver's license. Clearly there's a list somewhere.
Yeah, and we've talked to them, and we're ready. That's going to be the last phase, though. We want to get our internals. Right now, the reason why we chose these platforms for their phase one is because they're Salesforce-based platforms. Then we're moving into, like I said, Hazelwood and our grant system. And then the last phase will be incorporating any of that stuff we can with the other state agencies. So we're in talks with them. We're ready to get these MOUs going with them and get started. But
I think I would like to maybe in a future meeting, Tom, for us to kind of hear what that outreach plan is.
yes. Okay.
Just so
Absolutely.
I'm aware.
Any other questions?
I knew you would. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next is Lawrence Cruz, the third quarter operating budget.
Good morning, Chair Kerner, Commissioners, Mr. Palladino. My name is Lawrence Cruz. I am the Deputy CFO. I'll be briefing you on today's quarter three operating budget and Fund for Veterans Assistance revenue estimation. So for the third quarter, we expended a little over $43 million, with the current year to date expenditures totaling $76,412,510. For our method of finance, the agency receives general revenue, federal funds, and other funds. For quarter three, we received $3.95 million in state funding and $4.17 million in federal funding, totaling $8.12 million, with the current year to date totaling $92.48 million, which is 105% of our approved 2026 method of finance. TVC is approximately 87% of funding to method of finance ratio. We have exceeded our ideal 75% for the quarter three timeline due to a couple of factors. First, we paid back Health and Human Services for the Q1 and Q2 costs associated with the House Bill 114 transfer for the Texas Veterans and Family Alliance Program grant and the Mental Health Program for Veterans contracts. Second, we have paid the quarter three costs associated with the Senate Bill 1814 Texas Veterans Access Portal, which is on track to launch in late September, as Sean mentioned previously. We do not anticipate lapsing any funds for FY26 as our budget analysts have worked closely with our programs, providing monthly forecasts and conducting quarterly meetings. This concludes my briefing on the quarter three operating budget, pending any questions.
Any questions, commissioners?
Okay, continuing on to the FY26 Fund for Veterans Assistance revenue estimation. From last quarter to this quarter, there was a increase of 239,465, and there was a slight decrease to our other revenues of 182,746, and that includes our Department of Motor Vehicle, Texas Park and Wildlife Department, Department of Public Safety, our interests related to our FVA revenues, and then our state employee charitable campaign revenues. So as you can see, there was an overall increase from last quarter to this quarter for our revenues for $56,720. Moving on down to our expenditures for the Fund for Veterans Assistance. From last quarter to this quarter, there's a slight increase of $6,900. And then for the GY 25-26 funding, there was a increase of 1.7, and then for the GY 27 funding, it's going to be 40 million. And so what we anticipate carrying over from this year to next year for the FY 28 grants is the 3 million that you can see for the GVS Administrative Reserve Fund, plus the available balance of 646,962 for a total of $3,646,962 for the FY 28 grants. That concludes my briefing for the FY26 Fund for Veterans Assistance revenue estimation, pending any questions.
Any questions, commissioners? Okay. Thank you, Lawrence.
Thank you.
Next is Jeff Ritchie with the Employee Engagement Report.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners, and Mr. Palladino. For the record, my name is Jeff Ritchie, and I'm the manager of the Human Resources Department. I'm here today to provide you with an update regarding the survey of employee engagement. TVC participates in a survey every 2 years through the University of Texas at Austin's Institute of Organizational Excellence. The survey was distributed to all employees in March of this year. We received the results back in late April. If you turn to slide 2, you'll see that of the 466 employees invited to participate, 358 completed the survey, giving us a 76.8% response rate. For context, response rates above 50% generally indicate strong employee engagement. Our response rate increased by 4.1% compared with 2024, which is encouraging and demonstrates employees' continued willingness to provide feedback. Take a look at slide 3. The overall survey score was 420, which represents a 16-point increase from 2024. This score indicates that TVC has a high level of employee engagement compared with similar agencies, and our score also exceeds the national average. Overall, this is a very positive result and demonstrates continued improvement across the agency. Slide 4 shows the overall level of engagement. We were pleased to see that more than 74% of our employees are either engaged or highly engaged, as opposed to disengaged or moderately engaged. This is an important indicator of the health of our organization. Slide 5 shows employees just by years of service. The largest group has been with TVC between 3 and 10 years. Compared with 2024, there's been not been a significant change in our overall years of service profile for employees. Slide 6 provides insight into retention and retirement. Approximately 6% of employees indicated that they plan to leave the agency. There can be a variety of reasons for this, including work conditions, market competitiveness, or retirement. 12% indicated that they may be eligible to retire, which represents approximately 42 survey respondents. However, eligibility does not necessarily mean an employee will retire. Many employees may be vested but may not meet all requirements to retire with benefits. For context, TVC typically has fewer than 10 employees retire each year, so we don't anticipate all 42 of those employees will retire simply because they're currently eligible. Take a look at slide 7. To support retention, TVC has identified 5 areas of focus: promoting work-life balance, encouraging communication, empowering employees, supporting professional development, and providing opportunities for supervisor feedback. These efforts require participation from leadership throughout the organization, from the executive team to the individual supervisors of the agency. Slide 8 shows how our survey history and the overall trend is very positive. Our scores have continued to increase over time, with a slight dip between 2022 and 2024. We believe that that may have been related, at least in part, to the transition back to the office for COVID-19. But even with that dip, TVC has remained well above the standard for similar agencies. If this trend continues, we could see an overall score reach 450. Now, if you take a look at slides 9 and 10, these slides show the 12 constructs evaluated in the survey and allow us to compare 2024 with 2026. The most encouraging takeaway is that all 12 constructs improved, every single one. Work group is now our #1 area of strength with a score of 444. Pay and benefits remain areas where we have opportunities for improvement, but we saw significant progress. Pay increased by 39 points from the previous survey. Following last year's salary analysis, more than 393 employees received equity adjustments, and these results suggest employees are recognizing and feeling the impact of those adjustments. Internal communication moved into the bottom 3, replacing employee development. However, with a score of 419, this is not a significant concern. It continues to reflect a positive perception of communication within the agency. Because there will always be a bottom 3, this movement is more reflective of improvement in other areas rather than a decline in communication. Take a look at slide 4. One of the key benefits of conducting this survey every 2 years is that it allows us to measure whether employees' perceptions change as we respond to previous feedback. Typically, we see a combination of positive and negative movement. But this year, however, every single construct improved again. Pay is our largest increase noted. We believe the equity adjustments made in 2025 contributed significantly to this improvement. We still have work to do in this area, but we're very encouraged by these results. Take a look at slide 12. This slide looks at workplace climate and provides another encouraging comparison between 2024 and 2026. And we saw improvement in every area. We'd like to highlight a couple of the constructs when we look more closely at the results. The overall score for employees who believe they are treated fairly in the workplace was 434, which was well above the average score of 412 for other organizations. This indicates a generally positive perception of fairness within our workplace. We saw a similar result when evaluating whether employees believe harassment is not tolerated in the workplace. The overall score in this area was 448, again above the average of 433 for other organizations. These results indicate a generally positive perception of the workplace climate. We will continue to promptly address complaints and promote the appropriate channels for reporting and addressing potential ethical violations. Looking at slide 13, The HR director shared the department results with each director. Since then, each director has met with their departments, learned either through task forces, work groups, surveys, or through one-on-ones, where employees feel that improvements can be made. At this time, the directors are beginning to implement those changes and monitor the progress in hopes of even higher scores being generated in 2028. Finally, slide 14. This slide provides the timeline for survey review process. Departments have already begun implementing changes based on the feedback received. We'll continue to monitor those efforts, evaluate their effectiveness, and use future survey results to measure progress. Our next survey of employee engagement is planned for 2028, which will give us another opportunity to measure how these efforts have impacted employee perceptions. Overall, we believe the 2026 results are very encouraging. We saw increased participation, a significant increase in our overall score, improvement in all 12 constructs, and strong results compared with other organizations. Most importantly, we're taking the feedback we received and using it to identify specific areas where we can continue to improve. And that completes my overview. Madam Chair, Commissioners, and Mr. Palladino, pending any questions you may have.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions? Okay, Commissioner Wright, then I'll go to you next. Commissioner Cantu. Okay, you can go first, Commissioner Cantu.
When you talk about comparisons, it's Commissioner Cantu.
Yes, sir.
Is that against other state agencies, veteran organizations?
It's from the groups that UT provides. I can't advise whether it's just only agency, sir.
Commissioner Wright.
Thank you for that. First, a comment. As I'm looking out as to what is the leadership of the Texas Veterans Commission, and I include you in that as well, Tom. These, to me, are indicators, especially tracking it over time, of excellent leadership. And I want to thank all of you here for that. I also hear it out in the field a little bit from veterans, but it is pleasantly surprising to me how often most veterans rave about the service they've gotten. And for that, thank you very much. It is important. And if I can go back to slide 4, when you talk about engagement, I wanted to ask you, what is engagement? What does that mean? And how do you measure it?
Well, the measurements are done by UT from the survey, but in general, engagement would be happiness in work and workplace, sir.
Any other questions? I wanted to just echo the comments that you stated, and clearly this is everybody's score. So this is work from everybody across the board working on trying to make our employees' lives the best at work. So I really appreciate all the work everyone's been doing. And clearly that comes through in our services towards veterans, because I also hear lots of compliments when I speak to veterans about their services and what they get from the Veterans Commission. So thank you. Jeff, was this the first time you presented to us?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, you did a great job.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Okay, next is update from our executive director.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, the public, all members of the agency. I'm Tom Palladino, the Executive Director of the Texas Veterans Commission. So I want to report that Texas Veterans Commission is moving forward with improving the way we deliver our services, our superior services to all our veterans and their families and survivors. I compliment, every leader in every one of our departments and divisions that makes an effort every day, every week, every month, all throughout the year in order to improve the services that we give. Customer service is a number one priority that we have in the commission. And so we hire, train, supervise employees to do that. As you could just see from the engagement survey that, we create a positive work environment for our employees so they can deliver those services and complete the mission. So we accomplish the mission and take care of our troops, right? Take care of our employees. The same type of mission that we had when we were all on and served in the military. So we're in the cycle now, getting up toward the next legislative session, the 90th legislative session. And so we're doing our LAR coming up, and then we do an interim hearings, and then January is where the legislative session will begin, and we'll work with the legislature on legislation that'll affect veterans and, of course, our budget as well. We are also focusing on increasing our outreach plan, as we've discussed before. Margaret Hessian, our communication director, has made great strides in this area, developing more media relationships that we work in different markets across the state, working with our partners, whether they're veteran service organizations or our grantees or the county veteran service officers or the cities or the ACOGs. And so we work with local mental health authorities, all our partners, to make our veterans and their families and survivors aware of the services to meet their needs. And that's very crucial. And so we don't want to be the best kept secret. And I think we're making strides in those areas. And I appreciate the commissioner's help in that in outreach events. So it's very, very important. Everyone is focusing on that mission with the employees that we have and our partners, and to continue expansion of the awareness, and it's and to find out what our veterans and their family members and survivors need. What do they need, and then how do we get those services to meet those needs? So that's our focus. So I'm glad that we're expanding our business entrepreneur operations and all of our other programs. So I think that we're in a good state, and I appreciate all the support that we have from the commissioners and all our employees and all our partners out there, which is very important. We couldn't do it without those three entities. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions of our executive director? Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to move on to the consideration items. We'll probably get through one or two of these and then take a quick break and then get the last two after that. So the first one is action regarding our fiscal year 2027 operating budget. And I'll ask Michelle Nall, our Chief Finance Officer, to present this item.
Good morning, Chair Kerner, fellow commissioners, Mr. Palladino. For the record, my name is Michelle Nall, the Chief Financial Officer for the Texas Veterans Commission. If you take a look at the documents you have in front of you, there should be 2 pages. The first page is TVC's bill pattern that is listed in the General Appropriations Act. You will see there's 2 years, fiscal year 26 and there's fiscal year 27. We're looking at 27. If you look at the top portion, highlighted its total method of finances, these are the appropriations that TVC has received for the fiscal year 27. You'll see it's $85,940,543. They include multiple different types of methods of finance, which I'll go into more detail here shortly. Again, if you look at the bottom of the document, you'll also see how those appropriations are broken out by each strategy within each goal. I'll go into a little more detail again on the next page, but you'll see it's the $85,940,543. So if you go on to the next page, which is TVC's 2027 operating budget. The top portion is more of how we are allocating the expenditures among each strategy. You can see there's the $85,940,543 for the operating budget. And I'm not going to go into detail yet on the expenditures, but in each strategy, most of the expenditures go towards salaries. And you'll see some of the programs that do have grants. And then the agency also spends a lot of those funds on travel for training and, as mentioned, visiting leadership visiting programs. If you now go down to the bottom section, which is the method of finance, again, the $85,940,543 is what TVC was appropriated. Of these appropriations, we have state funds and federal funds. The state funds is one of the state funds is considered general revenue. General revenue is funding that we received from the state or the comptroller's office that we can spend day one. We need budget and we need cash. We get budget and cash, which is considered general revenue. The other funds, such as funds for veteran assistance, appropriate receipts, license, these are collected funds. So what the state does is gives us appropriation just budget, but we have to collect the funds to be able to spend the budget. So I'm going to go through each program. If you look at claims, for example, we were appropriated $10,161,594. Of those appropriations, claims is receiving $10,021,645 in general revenue. We can spend those funds day one because we get budget and cash. We received $61,449 in appropriations for Fund 368. That's just the budget. We have to earn the Fund 368 revenues to be able to spend that. You see the $68,500 in appropriated receipts. We had a contract at one time with the VFW, which we no longer do, for claim support. But I had to put that $68,500 in here to reconcile to the general appropriations. The general appropriation was our last LAR. So we will not be receiving those funds. We will not be spending that budget. It'll just kind of sit there. You go on to Fund 802, which are license plate donate. We estimate we're going to receive $10,000 in those license plate donations. We were appropriated $10,000. So until we receive those donations, we can't spend those funds. Going on to veteran employment, they were appropriated $689,267 general revenue. We get those funds day one. Going down to federal funds, they have a grant with the Jobs for Veterans state grants. That is the grant title and the CFDA number. The $12,509,896 is clearly an estimate of what we think we will spend and receive in fundings for that fiscal period. Veteran education will receive $748,733 in general revenue. And then they also have a grant, all volunteer force education assistance. There's an estimated of $1,241,963 that we estimate we'll spend and receive in federal funds for this period. Going on to veteran outreach was appropriated $2,748,418, all general revenue. Veteran entrepreneur was appropriated $403,864, all funds is general revenue. Healthcare advocacy $1,612,345, again all general revenue. Women Veteran Program, $364,134, all general revenue. Veteran Mental Health Department, $15,934,800, all general revenue. And as you see, there's $13,950 that is from these were the funds that were transferred from the Health and Human Services for our TFNVA grants and the contracts, the mental health contracts. Going on to general assistance, they were appropriated $1,064,062 in general revenue. We estimated that they will receive in lottery revenues $2,491,250. It's just budget. If they don't receive the lottery revenues, they can't spend that budget. They also have a small veterans transportation grant of $80,000. If we don't spend and draw the funds, we technically can't spend the budget. Going on for Housing for Texas Heroes, we were appropriated $1,194,772 in GR, and we are estimating $3,105,228 in lottery revenues to support the Housing for Texas Hero program. Veteran Treatment Courts appropriated $750,000 in general revenue, again estimating $3,885,000 in Fund for Veterans Assistance revenues for this period. Hazelwood Administration, $678,815 in all general revenue, and then Central Administration, $3,893,884 in general revenue, and then estimating approximately $1,181,718 in Fund for Veterans Assistance. Therefore, an overall budget of 85, 940, 543 in different types of methods of finances for fiscal year 2027's operating budget. Therefore, that concludes my brief. Pending any questions? Yes.
Commissioners, any questions? Okay, Commissioner Wright, I'll let you go first.
I found $1 million, but our budget seems to be $2 million off from last year, $1 million of it. And I realize it's an estimate right now. The general assistant grants category
Correct.
was less $1 million. Is the other approximately $1 million? I noticed there's a couple of them that are a little bit different. Is it just a culmination of those?
Well, I will say if you're looking at the Fund for 368 General Assist, that's just an estimate.
Right.
We don't. If you're looking at the general revenue, we were appropriated an additional $1 million in 26. If you're referring back to 26 for the veterinary care,
Right.
which we did not receive those funds in 27. So we're off $1 million from one year to the next.
Gotcha.
But we do have the authority that what we don't spend, obligate in 26, we can also move forward in 27.
Now, we were just hearing, the second question is about $10 million for
The TV,
mental health
FA,
grants.
and contracts, yeah.
That's not reflected in here, is it?
It is. It's under the Veteran Mental Health Department. That is where, unfortunately, the legislature put the funding,
Okay.
I guess because it's related to veteran mental health.
Right.
So, and you can see the 13,950 up in expenditures. That's where we plan for the contracts and the grants under the Veteran Mental Health Program. I think the desire is to eventually move those funds, those resources over to the grant program, but this is where the legislature currently put it.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? I have a similar question regarding the
Sure,
grants.
sure.
So I'm curious that they put money in some grant programs, right? Instead of just a general grant program, which would make much more sense rather than breaking it out.
Correct.
Because then we have to arbitrarily say, I think we're going to put this much of the lottery funds in that.
And that's kind of how it's really. So when you go and we do the awards for 27 next year, it may not be exactly this. So we have the authority to go up or down on that, on the estimated, on the Fund 368. We can't touch the general revenue. It is what it is. But if we think we're going to spend more in Fund 368 in the Housing for Texas Heroes, and we have the resources, we can. If we don't, we just don't spend the budget. Am I answering your question correctly?
Or not really, but I guess my
Maybe I'm
question is,
misunderstanding.
we don't control how they align those GR dollars.
No, we do not control that.
Okay, so they chose to create a veteran treatment court category and put money under that.
Yes.
Excuse me, hold on.
Yeah, originally back in the days, Mr. Pally, if I remember, we received those funds from the Department of Criminal Justice for the treatment courts and then that Department of Housing. Those were general revenue funds that we originally were provided from those state agencies. And then the legislature came back and just made those permanent for TVC rather than every year we do a contract and it goes back and forth, back and forth.
So we actually have more grant programs than is listed here because we also have the
Under
veteran
general, yes.
Yes. So we just kind of roll it under general assistance.
Correct.
I think my point is, regardless of the numbers we put here under Fund 368, which is how we would use our lottery funds.
Correct.
That number we are not held to.
Correct.
We can give more in Housing for Texas Heroes or less under Veteran Treatment Court.
Yes.
As long as we spend the GR that they assigned
Correct.
to that category, which is what was part of our conversation we had in May, which was let's make sure we use the funds under GA for the $1
Correct.
million for whatever program that happened to be. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, because the one thing the state will do that is we don't spend those general revenues, we'll lapse them, which is another reason we don't want to lapse them. The
Yeah.
Fund 368, The more revenues we collect and don't obligate toward grants, we just get to keep carrying them forward. Keep carrying them forward.
So that will answer, I think, as we get closer to the RFA, we do not put in the RFA, we have to spend a certain amount under each grant program.
Right.
We just say, this is the max you could receive in that category. And then when we give guidance to the advisory committee, we give general guidance to them on about the range that we're looking for each of these categories.
Right.
But again, not obligated to it.
Right. You don't want to fix it.
Right. Okay. Just want to make sure we're all clear on that.
Sure. No problem.
Okay. And also, I didn't realize, and one more thing. Yeah, sorry. I didn't realize we weren't going to get $1 million for the veterinary.
It was a 1 year.
Okay, so we keeping it in our grant program? I'll save that question for the RFA. But
I'll just say, we're going to, since we didn't obligate any of those funds, I will move that forward into 27.
We didn't give any grants in that category?
I don't think.
Or if it didn't fully?
I don't think it was in the RFA at the time, my understanding.
Okay.
We didn't give. Well, yeah, it was not fully executed.
Okay,
Sorry,
so there's money left over. We could still do that grant.
Correct.
Okay, sorry, Commissioner Wright.
Quick clarification of
Sure.
something you said, and I may be getting down way too far in the weeds. It was my understanding, because you talked about the money that comes in from the lottery, we can just roll over. My understanding is we can only, from an accounting standpoint, only roll that over for so long.
Well, we spend
it probably doesn't matter in the least. Trust me, we'll spend it.
You're right. You're basically spending the money that you roll over first.
Right.
Yeah, we'll
And
spend that
then
first.
Gotcha.
what you collect.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? And so this will be submitted as part of our LAR.
This is just the operating budget.
Just
We
the
haven't
operating budget.
gotten into the LAR yet.
Okay, so this is the operating budget based off of last session's LAR,
Correct.
which goes for 2 years.
Correct.
And so then now we have to submit, the next agenda item is submitting the
LAR for the
next
28.
2 years.
Yes.
But
Yes,
again,
ma'am.
that's also driven by what they told us to put in many of these categories. Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right. With that, anything else, Michelle?
No, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Any other questions? Do I hear a motion to approve the FY27 operating budget?
So move.
Yeah, I heard motion from Commissioner Hernandez and a second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, now moving on to the next agenda item. Agenda item 5B, which is action regarding the FY28-29 legislative appropriations request. And I'll ask Michelle to present this as well.
Thank you, Chair Kerner. Again, for the record, my name is Michelle Nall, the Chief Financial Officer for the Texas Veterans Commission. Okay, as you have in your packet, you have the LAR. I'm not going to go through the whole document, but I'm going to go through three key documents or schedules that are important. The LAR is basically those key schedules. It's how we are requesting appropriations for 28 and 29. It's exceptional items. These are funds that we want to receive in addition to what we're requesting for 28 and 29. And then the rest of the information in the LAR is pretty much more informational. So if you take a look at the document you have, the first document you have in front of me, that is what we call the budget overview for the biennium. It identifies each one of our goals. You'll see that TVC has 4 goals. Goal 1, ensure veterans, their dependents, and survivors receive all due benefits. And then it lists each of those strategies that fall under those goals. Goal 2, ensure veterans receive general assistance, mental health, and housing services. And you'll see all our grant type programs fall under that goal. Goal 3 provides administration for Hazelwood exemption, and our Hazelwood admin program falls under there. And then indirect administration, which is our central program. Looking at the document at the top, you will see our general revenue. When you look, it has the biennium for 26-27 of the funds that we actually were appropriated. And then the 2829 are the funds that we are requesting. I'm not going to go through each strategy, but if you look at the bottom, you will see in 2627, we were appropriated 82,141,157. In 28 and 29, we're requesting 77,941,591. That reason, there's a drop. I know you noticed that there's a drop. The governor has requested all state agencies to cut their budget by 3%. What TVC decided to do is just do a straight 3% down. You will also see when we get to our exceptional items that we're going to request that back, but we'll get there in a moment. Federal funds, we're basically just asking the same. It's all estimated. Again, general revenue is budget cash. It is a fixed amount. General revenue, federal funds is collected. We spend what we receive. Also going on to other funds, you will see that in 2627, we were appropriated 91,690,094. In 2829, we requested 93,265,50. That's because we're estimating we might receive more Fund 368 funds this next biennium. It's clearly an estimate. So when you go over and you look at all funds for the biennium, in 2627, we were appropriated the 201,494,968 and 479.5 FTEs. In 28 and 29, we are requesting an appropriation of 198,870, 859, and 479.5 FTEs. Again, this includes all methods of finances, general revenue, federal funds, and other funds which are collected. Then you have exceptional items. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I will here shortly, but we are requesting 29,396,431 and 35 additional FTEs for the biennium. Do you have any questions on this document before I go on to the exceptional item? Yes, ma'am.
I do have one question.
Sure.
In the operating budget we just looked at, you
Yes.
had the lottery funds, the other funds under the Veteran Mental Health Program, and now they're not.
The lottery fund. I'm sorry.
So remember we had talked about they had put all the GR under the Veteran Mental Health Program in the operating budget because Commissioner Wright asked for that.
Oh,
and then
okay.
here it's not.
Because this was last LAR, and based on the GAA, we're
Fixing it.
fixing it.
Okay.
I'm fixing the the method of finance.
Thank you. Okay, so that's you fixing it. Okay.
I'm trying to fix it.
That. I noticed that you fix it. Okay.
Good
'Cause
eye.
it used to be under 1.18,
Yes.
which we thought was weird, right? And so we moved it down under GA.
Yes. And I'm going to, there's the document, one of the documents is going to go more detail per strategy and MOF.
Got it. Okay. And then you're going to go over our exceptional item requests.
That's next. Yes.
So commissioners, I just want to highlight, this is the area that we probably have the most discretion in. Normally we're pretty good with everything the staff presents.
Oh, I'm sorry. Back
Yes.
up because we didn't. Sorry. My bad.
Yes. What did we miss?
A lot of numbers.
Okay.
The veteran mental health, the funding for the veteran mental health, you'll see is up in 118. That's GR. Is that what
you're right.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Because it was the mental health program and it wasn't under that one. Okay.
It's still, yes. I think we have to go through the session and make the request to kind of
Move it.
into the
Forgot that was
other
lottery.
goal. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, my bad. I didn't.
And
catch
how
it.
do we do that?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
During hearings
it's
and
low priority.
Right.
I was just curious about that. Thank you for correcting that. Okay, so the exceptional items that we're going to talk about next, this is where we have the most discretion. This is
Yes.
coming from staff recommendations of what we want to request. We don't always get them all. Sometimes we do. Sometimes most of the time we don't.
Correct.
But we don't get anything we don't ask for.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly. You got to ask for it.
And typically during the session, Tom and I would be making the case for these before session when we go before the budget
Hearings.
hearings. Okay.
Yes. So going on, you will see 2E, summary of exceptional items request. Again, We put them in priority order 1 through 8. These can be moved per your discretion, and anything can be changed on these as you see fit. So I'm going to go down. First one, reinstatement of the 3% that was required by state agencies to the 2028 and 29 base GR. Again, we equally deducted it from all strategies. So we are requesting in 28 1249819 and then 1160746 for 29 with a biennial request of the 2410,565. Now going on to number 2, the Veteran Mental Health Services. This is kind of a two-part. With the passage of House Bill 114 and 25, veteran mental health programs have transitioned from Health and Human Services to TVC under the Veteran Mental Health Department, including Veteran Suicide Prevention Act, which encompasses the governor's challenge to prevent suicide among service members. VMHD currently only has two staff members dedicated to the suicide prevention efforts. VMHD proposes adding 3 suicide prevention program managers, which would give them a total of 5, and 1 veteran learning program manager. And this will allow VMHD to fully participate in all of the governor's challenge technical assistance opportunities and grow the program strategically, maximizing statewide impact and collaboration. So the first part of it is the 4 FTEs in the staff. The second part, passage of SB 2938 in 2025, requires county jails and the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to provide daily verification of the veteran status of inmates and prisoners to TVC and VCSOs. First half of 2026, 11,979 veterans have been processed through county facilities and referred to VMHD for outreach. While this is a positive development, it has significantly increased demand for reentry focused peer support services. Therefore, VMHD is also proposing adding 4 justice and file peer support coordinators to support the program. Therefore, for priority number 2, we are requesting an additional 659,034 and 8 FTEs in 28 and 625,014 and 8 FTEs in 29 with a total request of 1,284,048. Going on to priority number 3, veteran mental health grants. Again, this is kind of a two-part. Following the passage of House Bill 114 in 2025, the Texas Veterans and Family Alliance TV&FA grant program was transferred from the Health and Human Services to TVC. The program provides mental health services to nonprofit organizations that directly serve veterans and their families. Health and Human Services had not increased the grant funding since the development of the grant program. Therefore, due to inflation as well as TVC wanting to get more organizations funded, TVC is requesting an additional $10 million. Second piece, TVC also is requesting an additional 4 FTEs to support and manage the TV and FA grants and interact with all grant recipients. FTEs and funding were not transferred from Health and Human Services to support the original $10 million grant program. Therefore, priority number 3, TVC is requesting the $10,874,066 and 4 FTEs in 28 and $10,858,106 and 4 FTEs in 29 with a total request of $21,732,172 for the biennium. Going on to number 4, internet bandwidth expansion. The proposed bandwidth increase supports growing demand from cloud-based applications, remote work, and citizen-facing digital services. The upgrade will improve application performance, reduce network congestion, enhance user experience, increase reliability during peak usage periods, and provide scalable infrastructure necessary to support an ongoing digital transformation for future growth. As you see, TVC continues to grow, so we need to increase our bandwidth, our internet bandwidth expansion. So TVC is requesting an additional 180,000 in 28 and 180,000 in 29, with a biennial request of 360,000 for the internet bandwidth expansion. Going on to number 5, TVC's executive director salary adjustment. The legislature has increased the duties and responsibility of TVC over the last 4 legislative sessions, taking the FTE count from 396.5 to 479.5, as well as increasing the biennial appropriations from 95 million to 174 million. After comparing TVC executive directors' current salaries with other state agencies that have similar appropriations, similar FTEs, those agency executive director salary ranges anywhere from 5% to 20% more than what our current executive director's salary is. Therefore, we are requesting to increase our current executive director salary from the 170,098 to 190,000 and going from group 5 to group 6. This will bring TVC's executive salary more in line with other state agencies in similar size and in similar appropriations. Therefore, for 2008, we are requesting an additional 19,952 and another 19,952 in 2029, with a total biennial appropriation of 39,904. Also, there is a report that the SAO puts out that is a biennial report on executive compensations at state agencies. That has not yet come out. We anticipate that will come out soon. That will help back up our justification for this request. Therefore, moving on to priority number 6, claims, benefits, and assistance. According to the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, Texas is home to approximately 1.5 million veterans with more than 359,000 active cases under the Texas Veterans Commission's power of attorney. In 2026, TVC submitted the Claims Service Report in accordance with House Bill 2193. To align resources with this demonstrated need, TVC is requesting an additional 17 veteran service reps. This targeted expansion will reduce wait times, improve geographic coverage, stabilize service delivery in both stabilize services in both urban and rural areas. TVC recommends strategically assigning the 17 FTEs to the high demand for veteran service in the following counties: Montgomery, Fort Bend, Nueces, Hidalgo, Bell, Bowie, Brazos, Dallas, Travis, Williamson, Denton, Tarrant, Taylor, and Johnson City counties. Therefore, for priority number 6, TVC is requesting $1,127,273 and an additional 17 FTEs in 28. And for 29, we're requesting $1,059,443 and an additional 17 FTEs, with a total biennial estimate request of $2,186,716,000. Now going on to priority number 7, Veterans Entrepreneur Program. Over the past 5 years, the program demand has risen steadily by 70%, now exceeding our current staff capacity. The existing staff is unable to provide the necessary level to support services while also fulfilling required program administration, monitoring, and reporting obligations. This demand aligns with the findings from the statewide 2024 needs assessment of the Texas Veterans Report, which identified businesses and startup training as the second highest unmet need, just below mental health services. Therefore, TVC recommends 6 additional program specialists to effectively manage the growing demand for entrepreneurship and small business assistant programs for veterans. Therefore, for priority number 7, Veterans Entrepreneur Program, TVC is requesting $460,912 and 28 and 6 FTEs, and also $436,972 and 29 and 6 FTEs, with a biennial request of $897,884. And on to the very last request. This request was actually a request from the General Land Office, or the VLB. Currently, if you look at TVC's Rider 6, TVC has a contract with the GLO VLB to provide them $74,214 to support one of their FTEs that operates the call center. The GLO VLB has determined that they have asked that they would like for TVC to split the total cost to operate the call center. They say they receive an average of 6,400 calls per month and answers approximately 5,000 of those calls. And approximately 2,900 of those calls are related to TVC. So they have determined the total cost to operate the call center is $633,570. So with the $74,214 that TVC is currently appropriated that we give GLO VLB, they ask that we request an additional $242,571 to pay the additional up to our 50% to operate the call center, which is what priority number 8 is. We are putting in, because we can't fund that with current appropriations. So for 28 and 29, TVC is requesting additional $242,571 with a biennial $485,142 of additional resources. And if this is approved, all would happen is those funds would come to TVC. We'd have a contract with the GLO VLB for the call center, and it just goes out directly to them, like the $74,000 does. So for all these requests, we are requesting a total of $29,396,431 in general revenue to support each one of these exceptional item requests for the biennium, if approved. So that concludes my brief on this. Pending questions.
Thank you, Michelle. Questions, commissioners? Okay, hearing no questions, let's move on.
Okay, and so then we go on to the last document, which it's pretty much the first document, but it's broken out in each. It's by goal, by strategy for each base year and the exceptional item, and then the total request. I'm going to go down. I'll go down claims. You'll see for the base for 28, we're requesting $9,410,132 in 28. 29, $9,410,133. And the reason that drops from one year to another is for, especially when there's FTEs, there's startup costs in the first year, and you don't have those costs in the second year. And then we have the exceptional item of $1,362,418 in 28, and then $1,297,818 in 29. So a total request for claims department in 28 is $10,772,550, which includes the exceptional item. And then in 29, $10,707,951. Going on to employment, our base request is $13,178,485 in 28. Our base request in 29, $13,178,485. Our exceptional item request, and it's small because this is the 3%, $20,678 in 28, $20,678 in 29. So a total request that includes the base and then the exceptional item is $13,199,163 in 28, and then $13,199,163 in 29. Veterans education base for 28 is $1,968,234. Base for 29, $1,968,234. Exceptional item, again, this is the 3%, $22,462 for 28 and $22,462 in 29, with a total base request for 28 of $1,990,696, and again for 29, $1,990,696. Veteran outreach, we're requesting a base of $3,020,985 and a base of and a base of $1,498,958 and 29. Exceptional item is I'm not going to go through detail of the exceptional item because we just went through that. Sorry, but a total request of $336,004 and 28, and then $288,931 and 29, with a total request for 2028 of $3,356,989, and then a total request of $1,787,889.
Michelle, one question.
Sure.
Since we're here. That big drop is because of the database, or why is it $3 million in 1 year and half of that in the next year?
The $3 million. Yes, you're right. The database, because the database is a 3-year project. So it's the costs were higher, the funding was higher in 26, 27, 28, and then it drops off in 29.
That's what I thought. Okay.
And then going for the total request of $3,356,989 in 28, which is still includes the 28 funding for the database, and then 29, $1,787,889 in 29.
Got it.
Veteran entrepreneur, 391,748 in 28, 29, 391,748. Exceptional item 451,080 in 28, and then exceptional item 428,280 in 29, with a total biennial request of 42,828 and 28, 828 and 28, and 820,028 in 2029. Healthcare advocacy program base request is 1,563,975 and 28, and then 1,563,975 and 29. The exceptional item request is 48,370 and 28 and 48,370 and 29, with a total biennial total request of 1,612,345 and 28, and then 1,612,345 and 29. Going on to Women Veterans Program, base request of 353,210 and 28, base request of 353,210 and 29. 10,924 for the exceptional request in 28, 10,924 for the exceptional request in 29, with a total request for 28 of 364,134 and a total request for 29, 364,134. And on a veteran mental health program, 15,456,756 base request, which also includes the 13 million for the grants and the contracts. And base request 15,456,76 base requests in 2029. Exceptional item request for 2028, 1,105,695 for 28, 1,073,275 for 29. Total request in 28 of 16,562,451, and a total request in 29 of 16,530,051. I'm going to go into the high level at the end. So going on to goal 2, for the general assistance grants, for the base request, we're requesting 41,272,296, and then base 40,302,296. You will see the $1 million drop from the year to year for the veterinary care. Exceptional item 10,418,199 in 28. Exceptional item, in 2029, 10,372,999. Total request in 2028 of 51,690,495, and then total request in 2029 of 50,675,295. General Housing for Texas Heroes, base request in 28 of 4,264,157, 29 base request of 4,264,157. The exceptional item request is 35,843. We're asking back the GR for the grants. 35,83 requests in 29, with a total request for the biennium is the 4,300,000 for 28 and the 4,300,000 in 29. Veteran Treatment Courts, base request of 3,812,500 and then 29 base requests 3,812,500. Exceptional item the 22,500 and 28 and the 22,529, with a total request of 3,835,800 and 28 and then 8,835 and 29. Going on to goal 3, Hazelwood, base request is 658,451 and for 28, 29, 658,451. Exceptional item 20,364 and 28, 20,364 and 29, with a total request in 2028 of 678,815 and a total request for 2029 of 678,815 as well. Going on to our indirect administrative central administration, base request of 5,524,514 in 28, base request of 5,136,513 and 29. Exceptional item request for 2028 is 959 090, and then exceptional item for 2029, 940, 340, with a total overall total request for 2028 of 6,483,604, and a total request for 2029, 6,786,853. If you turn the page, I'll go a little more into the MOFs, and I'll go over the whole total request for the agency. So on the last page, page 3, you'll see in general revenue, our base request is $40,410,809 for 28, and then $37,530,782 for 2029. Exceptional items in general revenue, exceptional item request for 2028 is $14,183,267. And then for 2029, exceptional item request is $14,582,804. So a total request of general revenue for 28, we are requesting $55,224,436. And then a total request in general revenue for 2029, $52,113,586. Going on to the federal funds, we're just base request for 2028 is $13,831,859. These are collected funds. And then for 2029, $13,831,859 collected funds. We have no exceptional items for federal funds. On to other funds, funds for veterans assistance, base request of $46,622,775 and 28. Base request of $46,622,775 and 29. These are collected funds. We are not asking for any additional exceptional items. And then the license plates funds, base request of $10,000 in 28, base request of $10,000 in 29. There are no exceptional item requests. Therefore, looking at the total method of finance and appropriations for TVC for base for 2028, we're asking for $100,875,443 and 479.5 in FTEs. Base request in 2029, $97,995,416 and 479 and 5.5 in FTEs. In exceptional items for 28, $14,813,627 and an additional 35 FTEs. For exceptional item for 2029, $14,852,804 and 35 FTEs. With a total, if looking at a total request for the agency for 2028 of all methods of finances, we are asking $115,689,070 and 514.5 FTEs. And then for 29, we are asking for $112,578,220 with a total of 514.5 FTEs. Therefore, that concludes my brief on the main strategy, on the main documents for the LAR, pending your questions.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
This might be a question for Tom. Have we gone over 500 employees before?
No, in the General Appropriation Act, no, it was we're at 479.5.
So we've never had more than 500 appropriated to us?
Never appropriated to us. I think that we have had, as long as we didn't exceed the 10% overage, our 500 employees on staff, but our appropriated cap has been at 479.
Yeah, I think my question is there a legal change when we go over 500 employees? I know sometimes when you get as a larger agency, you have now new requirements on you. Is there any new legal requirements, or can we look into that when we get over 500 employees?
I do know that Tina, the director of HR, has says that they need a one additional staff once we've reached that 500 mark of FTEs. But I think she was given that FTE this last biennium.
Okay.
But
it's required to have so many HR employee
correct
personnel
for personnel once you hit that 500.
I'm just curious. There might be small little pockets of those things all over the place.
That's the one I do know for sure. Okay. I'm not sure of any other requirements throughout the rest of the agency.
I mean, I don't think there's anything major. I think it's in that category.
I know there was like, what was the thing about the goals of hiring so many veterans? Wasn't that for agencies over a certain size or something like that? And I'm just curious because I feel like that's a significant number
Mm-hmm.
and there
It is.
might be some level of requirement.
We'll analyze it.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
just curious. I mean, since we're going to ask for it, I mean, at least be prepared.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Okay. With that, do I hear a motion? You're done, Michelle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the FY 2028-2029 legislative appropriations request?
So moved.
Do I have a second? I have a second from Commissioner Cantu. Any discussion? Awesome. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. With that, we will take a 10-minute break. We'll be back at the bottom of the hour.
Thank you.
Break. We'll go ahead and get started. And we only have 2 more agenda items, so hopefully we'll be done fairly shortly. Next agenda item is agenda item 5C, which is action regarding the 2026 Veterans Education Excellence Recognition Awards, or VERA. Ask David to give this presentation. President Salgado.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not quite used to that yet. Good morning, Chairwoman Kerner, Commissioners, Mr. Palladino. For the record, my name is David Salgado. I am the Director of Veterans Education. I'm pleased to be here today to present the Veteran Education Excellence Recognition Award, or as we just call it, VERA, for your consideration. This marks the 6th year that the Texas Veterans Commission have recognized institutions through the VERA program. The VERA Award was established by the Texas Legislature to recognize public colleges and universities that demonstrate excellence in education and related services that significantly contribute to the academic success of student veterans and military-connected students. Institutions of higher education voluntarily submit applications and are evaluated against 12 criteria that highlight the educational and support services they provide. These services play a vital role in the success of veteran students and their families. Mental health services, veteran-specific policies, veteran resource centers, and other education-focused programs are just a few of the elements considered during the evaluation process. TVC provides 3 levels of recognition, gold, silver, and bronze, to acknowledge the depth and breadth of services available to veteran students and their families. This year, we received 32 VERA applications, and I am happy to say that all 32 institutions made the requirements for recognition. You should have 2 documents in your packet. The first is a consideration page, and the second is a list of recommended award recipients. Of the 32 institutions, 27 earned gold, 2 earned silver, and 3 earned bronze. We look forward to presenting these awards throughout the year, and will continue to work through my chain of command to extend invitations for you to join us in celebrating these institutions and their commitment to serving veteran students, as many of you have already done with us. Barring any questions, I respectfully submit the VERA Award recommendation to Commission for consideration.
Thank you, David. Any questions, commissioners?
No questions.
And as always, as you start doing these, I know you offer them up to commissioners in the area if we want to do that. So we look forward to that.
Yes, ma'am.
With that, do I hear a motion to approve the, let me make sure I got the right agenda item here. I jumped ahead on me. Okay. Motion to approve the 2026 VERA Awards winners.
Mike has a motion, and
Yep.
I'll second it.
Okay, so motion from Commissioner Hernandez, second from Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, moving on to the final agenda item, which is 5D, which is action regarding the Fund for Veteran Assistance FY28 RFA. Wow, 28 already. That's crazy. I'll ask Irv Leos, Director Grant for Veteran Assistance, to present this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, Commissioners, Mr. Palladino and guests, for the record, my name is Irv Leos Jr., Director of Grants for Veteran Services. The agenda item I will be covering is the FY28 RFA. Looking at your folders, this information and documents are in the consideration folder D, FVA FY 2028 RFA. This folder contains the consideration summary FY 28 RFA, which I will be using to brief the commissioners. The folder also contains the FY28 RFA, and it's clean with all changes made. There's also an FY28 RFA that's labeled as well, but it's labeled marked up at the bottom, which has all the changes, highlights, crossouts, and underlines. Along with that, the FY28 Annex A, Terms and Conditions, the FY28 Program Requirements, which is Annex B, and the FY28 Annex B appendices for each grant category. So let me begin. To ensure the effective operation of the Texas Veterans Commission Fund for Veterans Assistance Grant Program, revisions are made to the Request for Application, or RFA, and its governing documents. The FVA program amendment awards reimbursement grants to eligible charitable organizations, local government agencies, veteran service organizations that provide direct services to Texas veterans, dependents, and surviving spouses. A thorough review of these documents ensure that the grant process aligns with program goals, complies with legal and regulatory standards, and supports the mission of providing critical services to our Texas veterans. The purpose of this agenda item is to seek the Commission's approval for the FY 2028 Request for Application and its associated governing documents. This RFA will cover a 2-year period from September 1st, 2027 through August 31st, 2029, spanning FY 28 and FY 29. The RFA will open Friday, October 2nd, 2026 at 5 p.m. Central Time and close on Wednesday, December 2nd, 2026 at 5 p.m. Central Time. With Grant for Veteran Services having 3 grant programs, Fund for Veterans Assistance, or FVA, Texas Veterans and Family Alliance, or TV plus FA, and the Highly Rural Transportation Grant, HRTG, the terminology has been updated in the RFA. Now, the following changes will cover everything in the RFA and all associated governing documents. We're changing grant programs as stated to grant categories. For example, General Assistance Grant Program will be changed to General Assistance Grant Category. Other change is service categories will be now referred to as services. For example, Financial Assistance Service Category will be now referred to as Financial Assistance Services. The next change is the awards grants documents. Just clarifying language in section 3.6. In the event of any conflict or inconsistency in the execution of the grant project, such conflict or inconsistency shall be resolved by reference to the documents in the following order of priority. And those priorities are listed in that section. Section 3.7, grant terms, September 1st. The grant period dates are for September 1st, 2027 to August 31st, 2029, which is 24 months. We also added this language for clarification. The grant period ends at the conclusion of the grant term or upon full expenditure of the funds, whichever occurs first. Moving on, reporting requirements. We covered a section about beneficiary satisfaction survey, adding language to better identify and set the standard requirements for organizations to provide the beneficiary satisfaction survey to their clients. It's been in there and it's been done, but we did not have language in the RFA. Prohibited.
Irv, just one thing.
Yes, ma'am.
So, commissioners, I think he's going to go straight through all these changes. We may interrupt if we have questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Just say I have a question and I'll call you, just so that we don't have to wait till the end.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I want to give you that. Okay. I don't have a question. I just want to continue.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Section 3.9, prohibited use of FVA grant funds. This kind of is in the RFA, but it also pertains to the home modification. We want to make sure the language matches the TAC. We remove language from the TAC, from the RFA to ensure it matches the TAC. And it's stated we're removing the language for home modification, repairs, and weatherizations.
Now I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So have we always not accepted home modifications, repairs, and weatherization?
We have, again, ma'am, so the clarification here is we do modifications and repairs. The confusing language is the weatherization. There's a federal and state program where they do weatherization, and their primary focus on that is energy efficiency. We don't do efficiencies. We do repairs and modifications. Now, if somebody needs windows, there's no preventing them from applying energy efficient windows. But as a primary means to upgrade somebody's windows to efficiency, that's not the program.
Got it. So instead of saying in our RFA, we support these three, you're just going to say whatever the Texas Administrative Code says.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect.
Yes. All right.
Thank you.
Section 10, it's 3-10, unallowable expenses and services, where we've added for duplication of services under veteran businesses. We added that on there, a little bit more on that in a second. Added direct or indirect for current language following new expenses. There was confusion for organizations about the use of funds in direct or indirect. And for the remaining, we added a large section of unallowable expenses or services, starting with 27 all the way down to 37. It's like 10 new sections. Number 27 is one of the major ones here.
Have to read them all. Just give us a moment. And we'll
Yes, ma'am.
read them. Okay. And what's the general reason for adding all 10?
Ma'am, just during the grant period and previous grant period, organization asked about providing these services, and we made a decision not to allow such things, but we did not have language, so now we're putting these in this language. For example, number 27, no services involving firearms, purchase of range time or ammunition. We had an organization that wanted to spend a significant amount of time on ammunition and range time as part of their peer services.
Got it. So backing up staff decisions with wording in our RFA?
It was not, ma'am, no.
Yeah, so we're backing up
Yes,
previous decisions in the RFA.
yes, ma'am.
Commissioners, any questions on those 10? We could jump to the next. Yeah. Do you have your microphone on? I'm sorry. Do you have your microphone on?
Sorry, I did not.
We're under 3.10.
So we're still under 3. Okay.
So page 2, 3.10,
Yeah.
when you see all those added the following new expenses or services, which means these are all now unallowable.
Understand. Yeah, I've read through those. Okay, thank you. When we get to 4, I've got some questions.
Yeah, we're not there yet. Okay. Okay. Any questions on page 2? Okay. We can go on to section 311 grant amendments.
Yes, ma'am. We removed the language it had a date on there for March 31st. We moved that date on number 2. And we're referring to the key dates. That way, all dates will be in one central location. Number 9 for grant amendments, organizations must have a compliance visit with no unresolved findings within the current grant year. In previous discussion, it was one of the previous commissioners had requested that a compliance visit be within a certain amount of time limit. Discussion amongst the executives and myself decided that as long as it happened within the year, it should be sufficient. And number 12, grants can be extended. We removed grants can be extended for up to 6 months, which would make it into February from the original period of performance end date in August 31st. We're requesting not to extend grants as these will be 2-year grants.
Okay, so we won't do grant extensions. We could do grant amendments to add more dollars, just no more than 50%.
That is correct, ma'am. Yes, 4.1, yes. Available funding revised. Oh, I'm sorry, no.
Yep, okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Next one is total available. Oh, you just revised that.
Yes, 4.7. Yes, 50%.
Yep.
All right. Now back to 4-1 is available funding. We left it at $31 million.
Okay. But we normally have more. So.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Section 4.3 revised the title by removing award, so it's number of applications per organization. And again, we added clarifying language. You see the highlighted. In addition to their TVC grant, to the VTC grant, organizations may apply for 1 grant in each of the other 3 grant categories, totaling a maximum of 4 grants per grant cycle. Veterans County Service grants are included in the county maximum. Just clarifying language for the counties.
And we were having problems with that?
No, ma'am. I think it's just confusing the way the language was written, so we edited the language to flow better and be understandable. Section 4.5, who can apply for a grant? Again, more clarifying language on number 1. It just stated units of local government, and we actually identified that by putting city and county governments. And then for number 2, we added Texas chapters and United States. Again, it used to say just IRS code 501c319, so we made sure it stated Texas chapters.
Madam Chair.
We have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Would you clarify as Section 4 about the Veteran Treatment Court and County Veteran Service Officer programs, or does it apply to all grants?
I'm not sure I understand the question, Commissioner.
It sounds like some of these changes are being made affect directly the Veteran Treatment Court program.
And later, yes, we will talk about treatment courts programs, but there is.
That's going to lead to a question in a second. Let me let you go. We'll come down to that, and it may make my question will make more sense.
All right. So you're asking about 4.3, Commissioner, right? Is that what you?
I am, but the whole 4 category, is that geared to Veteran Treatment Court, or is that geared to all grants?
This whole section is all grants.
Yeah, all grants. Yes, sir.
A second.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Section 4.8. This is the requested funding amount per organization. There is significant changes on here. One of the things that we removed is organizations may, now it states organizations may not request more than the annual gross receipts reported to the IRS via their 990 or 990 forms. It used to state no more than 2 times. We removed the 2 times from there. Also, we removed the second half of that statement, and must have a net assets equal to or greater than the requested amount reported to the IRS. That was removed. However, we revised, an organization may not request more than the annual gross receipts reported to the IRS via the forms 990N, EZ, or 990 across 1 or more grant application. And we added that 1 or more grant applications because we had organizations that would apply, say, for $500,000 in 1 grant category, and we only viewed it as that particular application, yet they applied for 2 other grants for another $500,000, and they applied for $1.5 million, and we're looking at each application independently. We discovered that we need to look at the entire organization, their amount requested, to see if they're financially stable.
So I have a question on this one. I agree with lumping all the applications together and looking at, but why did you get rid of the 2 times and just their annual gross receipts?
Ma'am, it's just looking at most of the documents and seeing, giving the organizations the availability to continue past the eligibility, because it seemed that if they ask it more than 2 times, because some organizations weren't, we were eliminating organizations that had a pretty decent financial standing, but yet if they requested more than 2 times, we were just kicking them out.
So they can request more than 2 times.
They can request more than the annual gross receipts. So again, it is what they're reporting to IRS of what they had gross receipts is what they can request, no more than that. So
I don't know if I agree with that. What was the 2 times requirement before?
it looked at the same number. So if you reported to IRS you had $500,000 in gross receipts, you could request $1 million.
Okay.
And now is if you have $500,000, that's all you can request.
And what problem are we solving there?
It is ensuring the organization is financially stable.
Okay, let's put a pin in this one. 4.8, I'd like to come back and discuss.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't want to hold up the rest of the presentation, but we'll come back and note all the ones we want to discuss.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. And in the bottom, going down from in 4.8, 1.1, 2, and 3 is the amount that organizations can request depending on how they report to the IRS. For example, somebody submitting a postcard, the 990N maximum request is $50,000. Using the 990EZ, the maximum they can request is $200,000. And if they use the 990, they can request amount dependent on the annual gross receipts up to the maximum funding limit.
Okay.
Section 4.9, a minimum funding limit request or be awarded, revised from $25,000 to $50,000. Again, that was just a simple doubling up because these are 2-year grants. So the minimum is $50,000 that somebody can request or be awarded. The maximum funding limit request or be awarded, it went from $400,000 to $600,000. I know there's a big talk. We had a discussion, but we felt that to try to stretch the dollars instead of doubling 400, which is the current FY27, we wanted to stretch the dollars, so we went to 600,000 for a 2-year grant.
Is that for all grants?
Yes, ma'am.
So didn't we used to have a max different for different grant types?
That was in the previous, not in 27, the year before last. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so currently, in this current year, no one can have a grant more than 400,000 initially.
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
And now you're saying now that it's a 2-year grant, they can't have a grant bigger than 600,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Which basically lowers it to 300,000 a year.
Yes, ma'am. And the goal was to try to award more organizations, stretch our money out.
Per application, right?
Yes, per application.
So if you
yes.
have a county that applies for, it sounds like up to 4 different grants, as long as they apply in different categories, each one of those grants could be potentially $300K a year.
Yes, ma'am. Or, yes.
Okay. You just keep on reminding us as we're having these conversations that this is for 2-year grants.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I keep on forgetting. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So 410. Yes, Chuck.
And I'm going to kind of go back into 4.9 a little bit too. Oh, yes, it is. Sorry about that. You've already answered my 410 question. Thank you. So minimum funding goes from 25 to 50, but that's a 2-year grant.
Yes, Commissioner. I just doubled it up.
Totally got it now. You've answered.
I have to keep on reminding myself as well. Okay.
All right. All right. Section 411, funding increments, again, added requests or be awarded. Section 4.12, matching funds, added this language. Again, we talked about it earlier. FVA grant funds may not be used to satisfy any matching requirements for other TVC grants.
Okay.
Section 4.14, application package. Number 2, added just some clarifying language, recognizing tax exemption with effective date, removing regarding nonprofit status. Again, better clarifying language. Number 3, added the TVC compliance team will verify that the organization's liability insurance remains active during the grant cycle. Big discussion about insurances during last year's where certain organizations were submitting expired insurance documents. And then number 4, revised compiled financial statement no older than 120 days prior to the application submission date, and also added clarifying language, cash equivalent.
And that's because they were giving you really old documents in the past.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Number 6, again, added again, for older documents, removed last year's tax and added actual dates from 2025 or for the 990s from 2025 or 2024 with the 2025 extension request, just to make sure we have current documents. Number 7, added veterans mental health VMH applicants submit license or certifications for individuals providing mental health services. Providers working towards clinical hours or license for certification must identify a supervisor and provide a supervisor's license or certification. Section 5.5, ineligible applications. Number 3, we've added right to transact business in Texas. An organization that does not have an active right to transact business in Texas as listed in the controller's website will be deemed ineligible. And we will check. So the organization does not need to submit that. We have access to that website. Number 4, revised requested funding. Applicants will be marked ineligible if the requested funding exceeds the reported gross receipts as documented in IRS 990 in the 990 forms.
Okay, so that's tied to my 4.8 question.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's
Yes, ma'am.
do changes go together.
Financial stability, number 5, I'm sorry, 5, yeah, 5C. Added 5C, organization applying for multiple grants will be assessed for liquidity, taking all requested amounts into consideration, as I mentioned before. And is there an example, added an example on table A2. Added number 6, net loss. Applicant organizations that show a net loss or negative balance on their submitted compiled financial statements or IRS forms will be deemed ineligible. Again, we had organizations submit where if you look at their documents, they were either zero or in the negative as far as their money and their net balance.
Is that okay for a nonprofit?
It's very...
Okay, let's put this in my 4.8 discussion.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Added number 7, again, VMH invalid license or certifications. If 50% or more of the organization submitted license or certifications for staff providing mental health services are not valid, the application will be deemed ineligible. Again, we have, with assistance from the VMHC department, we can check license and certification of the providers to make sure that they are current. And then number 8, excessive organizational funding. Applications with a total of 20% or more of the requested funding amount in the following budget groups. And this is a culmination of all these budget groups: indirect costs, supplies, travel, conference, training, and other direct costs, marketing, outreach, printing, phone services, postage, shipping, professional dues, software, and websites will be deemed ineligible. Again, that's looking at how much money we're really looking at that's more beyond the administrative cost of the service. And then table B, for the risk determination, we revised some of these and others we removed. If you want me to go over these, or the commission want to read them?
Let's read those. You hold on. Okay. And again, my question is the same in general. What drove most of these changes?
Most of these changes were driven by, again, just some clarifying language and some things that we recognized during our previous year's risk determination of organizations that weren't covered in the language.
And how did you determine they weren't covered? Like, was it while you were trying to write the NOGA and then you discovered these problems? Like, how did these come to your knowledge of being a problem?
When the compliance team does the eligibility checks, so looking at some of these documents, and they brought the questions like, shouldn't this be a risk? So yes, ma'am.
Okay, so internally, your grant team was like, hey, this maybe should have been noted as a risk.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes, you have a question, Commissioner Wright.
Yes. Then I'm just going to go with number 1. I think it'll apply across the board. Organization headquarters is located outside of the state of Texas. that is just a risk. It is not necessarily immediately deemed ineligible.
Correct, Commissioner. These are, if you read up risk determination up above there, an organization or an applicant organization has to have 4 of these risks to be deemed ineligible. So yes, it could just be one. It's a risk, but not an ineligibility.
And the people who determine ineligibility is our staff.
Our staff, ma'am, that goes from our staff to myself, and then it's reviewed by Chip, and then eventually Mr. Palladino.
Got it. And is there an appeal process?
For a risk or for ineligibility? No, ma'am.
Okay. I think I asked that last year, so I apologize. The answer's still the same. Okay.
All right. Ready to continue?
Any other questions with the risk changes?
All right. Continuing to section 6, section 6.1, application review. This is a big revision. General assistance, Housing for Texas Heroes, and veterans mental health applications that pass eligibility screening will be forwarded to the FVA Advisory Committee for review, scoring, ranking, and funding recommendations. This is the big change down here. We added number 1, Veterans Treatment Court and Veterans County Service Officer applications will undergo eligibility review. Number 2, the commission will elect which Veterans Treatment Court and Veterans County Service Officer application to award. So the committee will not look at these applications.
Okay, they'll all be forwarded to the commission for review.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And have you determined VTC and VCSO applicants to be ineligible in the past?
Yes, ma'am. And really, it comes down to what they wrote, and really, it's a lot of the budget is what usually causes them to be ineligible.
Okay, so that's not new. That's what we've always done. Okay, I just didn't want to make sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Wright, I know, and Commissioner Hernandez, I think I'm good with them going straight to us rather than ranking VTCs and VCSOs. They're all our partners and government agencies, so I don't think I have a problem with this one.
Talking about that, if I could correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the VTCs and the county veteran service officers are the only ones hypothetically that could ask for 4 grants?
The county can ask for 4 grants.
The county can ask for 4. So you're saying the VTC cannot?
So the VTC would count as 1. So it's the county itself, the way the
Gotcha. Yeah.
Roger.
The VTC is normally assigned to a county, and it's part of that county's application.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, there has to be some sponsoring county, right? Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah.
You ready to continue, ma'am?
Yes.
All right.
What,
Section.
6.2?
I'm sorry.
Are we in 6.2?
6.2. Yes, ma'am. So 6.2 is a new addition, the entire section. So 6.2, application presentation to the advisory committee. In previous years, I know last year we took it out, but again, discussion with the executives, we wanted to put it in, and we had a big discussion. So now it is a requirement. So we added general assistance, Housing for Texas Heroes, and veterans mental health application organizations that have passed eligibility screening will present their application to the committee. And it lists of how they can present, and they can do it either in person or online. And they will be given 3 minutes to do so. And the committee, we've incorporated where the committee will score their presentation. And it's a matter of, are they presenting what is in their application is really what it comes down to, because we've noticed some organizations like to speak about their organization or their other stuff that they do, not particularly about their grant they've applied for.
Well, but they are allowed to ask questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Many, so
Yes.
they'll redirect them with the questions.
Yes.
So we're kind of doing a 180 here. We're like, hey, don't present. And now we're like, everyone must.
Yes, ma'am. We had a big discussion, and yes, ma'am.
I like this decision. Okay. Continuing on.
Yes, ma'am. Section 6.4 advisory committee. and we just revised the language. So each committee member will review, score, and rank, evaluate all eligible applications by region, and prepare award recommendations for the commission in accordance with the listed task. And we removed number 5 in that section. May recommend applications funding lower than the requested amount, but not less than $25,000. We removed that section, and we're asking because we're running into issues, and we had a short discussion. Is when we, and I understand the commissioners want to spread the money out, but when an organization applies, say for $200,000, and they're awarded less, it creates not only burden for the staff, but also for the grantee, because now they have to go back and look at their budget, rebudget everything, because they started this application as a $200,000 grant or request, and now they got cut in half or however much, and they have to go back and relook at their budget of how are they going to do this grant. So we're telling the committee, you cannot, what an organization requests, you either recommend or not recommend and rank. And I'm kind of asking the commission to do the same.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying. I hear your recommendation. Commissioner Wright, thoughts on that one?
I strongly disagree with that recommendation. I get that it's easier. I understand that. But we get into a problem that I call carpet bombing, because what will happen is everybody will figure out to ask for the max. And what you've done is you've tied everybody's hands with this, that we have no latitude. And one of the problems is we need to say yes more often. And that was part of the move from $400,000 in a year to $600,000 in 2 years. So it's not an easy process. It's as much art as it is science. But I'm just uncomfortable taking that latitude away.
Understand.
I have a little different opinion on that. I mean, I understand the complications, because it gets even complicated while we're in the meeting, trying to remember how much they applied for versus how much we gave them. However, there are some situations where a lower amount is better than just saying no. And we've seen that a few times when you have new applicants who are in one of the most important need areas of a certain area, and they don't know all the intricacies of our grant process. And maybe they asked for more ineligible than normally. When you go through the NOGA process, you would remove some money, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Of the ineligibles. And in a lot of the times last year, when you recommended a lower grant amount, what was the reasoning behind some of those lower grant amount recommendations?
It's the same person, man. There's a commissioner's trying to spread the money across organizations and services across the state.
But there was times in the past where you recommended lower amounts, not just because of that.
Yes, ma'am. We looked at what their previous year's expenditures and looking at that. I did at one point when we had the big money and the commission asked me to look at previous year's expenditures. I did the math, and that's how I did the calculations to lower everybody's
Were there some
request.
times, maybe this was before we changed some of our wording in our grant RFA, but there was times in the past, and now I'm kind of dating myself, so apologize, where they would apply for, say, $200,000. You would pre-look at their application. You would give them a red flag and say, oh, a certain percentage of this is ineligible. So really, when you go to approve it, you really should approve it for 170 instead of 200, because by the time it comes to us, we're going to have to write $30K out of it anyways, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So is that not the case anymore?
That is still the case, ma'am. Yes, up to 20%. So if somebody requests $100,000 and 20% of it is unallowable, we will remove it there and notify the organization, hey, you have monies that's unallowable in your budget. We're going to remove it. and your application will move forward minus that money.
So you do that during your eligibility check now?
Yes, ma'am.
So instead of at the end, when you do the NOGA process, you already reduce it to the eligible amount before you send it to the advisory committee?
Yes, ma'am. And if they surpass that threshold, then that application is ineligible. Yes.
Okay. So I guess I had missed that. Or if you've done that, great job. So how long have we been doing that?
We just started last 2 years ago. We started reducing people if they exceeded that threshold.
Bring it to the committee.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then I'm less concerned, because I was more concerned that we would need to reduce it for ineligible reasons. Because then you've already had them update their budget when you do that, or have them remove those ineligibles. Okay. Commissioner Hernandez, what are your thoughts? Commissioner Cantu, I know you haven't been through the few years, but basically what they're saying is someone applies for an application, we either give them it or not. And not, in the past, we would say, okay, we'll give you 150 instead of 200. Commissioner Hernandez?
I just think that the presentation is pretty satisfactory. Whichever direction they go is the FFA personnel know that they will be able to accomplish their applications.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you have a thought on it.
Molly, the commission, the agency should have latitude to adjust it, and I'm not sure it's the commission's responsibility to not to care. That might be too harsh about somebody else's budget, but at the same time, you should be thankful for whatever you receive as an organization, and it shouldn't be you ask for the max, you get the max.
Madam Chair, if I may, we've had some grantees that rescinded this year, and some of the reasons were, for example, one organization requested $400,000, they got $250,000, and they decided to rescind.
And they were unhappy that they got $250,000.
Yes, ma'am. We had another one request $175,000, and they only got $75,000. Same reason, and that's happened in previous years as well. They don't want to go through the hardship of having to readjust their budget, and we have a few other ones that we told them they've already requested for more money because they were reduced. They were awarded less than what they requested, and they're running into issues as far as planning for it, especially with staff. But we told them spend it, and then come back at another commission meeting and request for more money.
Go ahead,
Commissioner Cantu, but that sounds an exception, not the rule. And so do you make the rules based on the exception or the majority of the rule?
Yeah. Okay. Commissioner Wright?
And just another point of clarification, as the commission, we still have the ability, if we want to award someone more than the maximum, we're able to do that?
The way the RFA says it has a maximum award amount.
We can waive RFA requirements at any time, and we have multiple years.
Yep.
Specifically, when we had renewals, we waived all renewal requirements during COVID, so we could renew things even if they didn't meet performance requirements.
And Chair, if I might, to follow up on that, because we're going to a 2-year grant, can they spend money from their second year? Yes. Or will we just say, hey, you're going to spend money from your second year if you're going over, or do they need, and it's probably not important for the commission to know.
Well, no, Commissioner, yes, it is. It's a 2-year grant. So if you get the maximum amount, you have 2 years to spend that. If you spend it all in 1 year, I would guess that we either close out or they come back to the commissioners requesting more money.
But they can't ask more than 50% of the original amounts. They can't ask.
That is correct.
So I also have a concern with grant applicants planning their manning, assuming we're going to give them a grant that we have not decided on yet. So it sounds like you're saying we're struggling because we planned our entire budget over the fact that you're going to give us this full amount. And because You didn't give us the full amount. Now we have to replan our budget.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
But it was never guaranteed.
correct.
And section 6.4 really only applies to the advisory committee?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm fine with giving directions to the advisory committee that they don't change the award amount, but I still want the commissioners to have the ability to change it when it comes to us, but we will take into account the fact that it causes a lot of work on your side.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right.
Are we all good with that? Okay. Especially this RFA is directed to the grantees, not to us. So, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And to the committee, not to us. Okay.
The section 6 point. Where am I? I lost 6.3.
6.5 now.
6.5. No, I think
Doing a great job,
think,
Irv. We're doing. We're.
I think I misnumbered my 6.2 6. Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking at the other document. Yes. So 6.5 information for advisory committee. Added number 11 percentage of average grant category funding across the 5 years, and again that is an assistance to them to make sure that money is spread equally across each grant category based off of the 5-year distribution. And we removed service cost per client. Reason we did that was a simple math is we took how much money you were requesting, an organization was requesting, and how many clients they said they were going to serve, and we just did the simple math, and that's how we came up with that. So we felt that wasn't a true representation of what the service cost per client, so we removed it off.
Okay.
Section 6.7, again for the commissioners, we removed that for the commissioners, and we also added 14% of average grant category funding across the last 5 years. 6.12, rescinded grant award. This is new language. We had, again, when organizations rescind the grant after they've been awarded, we just want to put clarifying language of the process that has to happen to take them off the grant award. The revision process, again, some clarifying language. Organizations believe that when the commissioners award them that their grant is set and it's ready to go. And we've had some discussion with organizations because they have unallowable, unallocable, and unreasonable costs in their budget and or other things in their grant program that are, again, don't fall under these requirements, and they push back. So thus we added this clarifying language. And then non-executed NOGA, it's this new, again, discussion with our leadership. An organization must complete the revision process and accept the NOGA within 100 calendar days of the awarded meeting. Failure to complete the revision process or accept the NOGA within the time frame will result in automatic termination of the award. We have organizations that honestly, they're not answering communications, emails, phone calls, or nothing, and then they show up months later asking about their grant and NOGA. So we want the ability to, if there's no communication, we'll run it up the leadership chain of command, and if there's no communications after 100 days, that we terminate that grant.
And for Commissioner Cantu's background, NOGA stands for?
Notice of Grant Agreement.
Okay, so it's the contract we sign after we vote for it in May. Okay, key dates?
Key dates, just added some, the key dates for the year, for the grant year. The key dates I did add on there is the application presentation to advisory committee, which will happen in February, March timeframe. We do have the date set, but we haven't published it. And then the amendment deadline, again, we put on there another key dates, along with other key dates are on there, but just verifying that they match the current calendar. And then section 8 is the application review and scoring. Key thing here is made some changes to better align the questions with the application and key areas of review. Some of the questions were just didn't seem to fit what we were asking in the application. One key thing that we did update is now mostly all but one question, there's a range. So the committee can range it from 0 to 5 or 0 to 10 points. And only one question has a set amount. Is question: does the application provide services listed as one of the top 3 veteran needs per region as defined in the latest need assessment? So if they do, it's 10 points. If they don't, it's 0 points. And the goal is for a committee member to give a score from 0 to the maximum points. It should better distribute the application scores instead of all being, say, 90s and round numbers. It should be different across the board. And I don't know if the commissioners want us to want me to go over all the questions.
What? Oh, no. Go ahead.
Okay. And then, so these are the following, continuing on, is the changes to the governing documents that affect all grant categories. Annex A, which is the term and conditions. I like to call it the lawyer talk. There's no changes. The only change to that is we change the title to FY28. Annex B, which is FY28 grant program requirements. Again, we removed some areas because there was confusing language or is redundant language because it's already in the RFA. Order of precedence and order of precedence was removed. Again, it was similar to the RFA. Conflicting RFA language, again, in the RFA. And we removed program income, which is also stated in the RFA. We did add this to Section 5 of the program requirements, reporting beneficiaries, clients served. The grantees must ensure that they have a copy of the client's eligibility documents prior to providing services. And we've told organizations that they needed to ensure, but we didn't have it in the language because, again, veteran comes in, they need a service, they're provided that service, but the organization never verified that veteran was an actual veteran, would say, with a DD-214. So the veteran is gone and they never show up. So they were never proof that they were a veteran.
I'm not sure if we need that. The reason I say that is some of these organizations provide the same service to many different clientele. Some of them are veterans, some of them are not veterans. We've always said you can do that as long as you only ask for reimbursement for veterans.
The original language or the other language that says that is when you ask for reimbursement, you should have all documents on hand to include the eligibility documents.
But that's not what this says. This says before you provide the service.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Again, because the veteran would go away and not come back and they couldn't get the document.
And they'll learn that really quickly when they don't get reimbursed, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think we should put that in there because it'll confuse them.
Yes, ma'am.
You could coach them and say it's probably a good idea to grab it because if you don't, we won't reimburse you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We do coach them, but okay, we will remove it. Commissioner Wright, you have a question, it looks like. Okay. All right. Again, for the program, number 20, organizational insurance, added the following. That long paragraph is several paragraphs. It pretty much comes down to that the organizations must provide their current professional liability or malpractice insurance declaration page. Again, second paragraph is organizations must maintain their professional liability or malpractice insurance through the grant period. And that last paragraph is that on the compliance visit, we will check those documents to make sure that it is current. And then the glossary of terms, glossary of key terms was renamed from definition. We just felt it felt better. We removed a lot of terms that were, this glossary goes back to pretty much when I first started, which is quite some while. So it had not been updated. So we removed a lot of terms and definitions that are no longer in use and or already in the RFA or in other areas of the program requirements. All right.
Okay, so that covers all the general stuff. Now we're going to go specific changes to specific grant categories.
That is correct, ma'am. We are moving to the general assistance category. So under section 2.2, general assistance, we moved family and child support services over to the veterans mental health under clinical counseling. We added to clarify a little bit about the service. We added vocational to the title of vocational and trade skills training services, again to better align and to provide better clarification. Some language was added along with that. Number 7, pro bono legal services, added legal service organizations. We had organizations that were not legal service organizations wanting to provide legal services. And then we removed the small business support services due to the Veterans Business Outreach Centers, or the VBOC, with federal funding. And then finally, under that section is number 10, assistive technologies. We've added, just from clarifying language, devices, and also clients with disabilities for medical conditions to perform daily tasks.
And you also removed, I don't think you put it in here, but we talked about this earlier, was you removed the low income portion for the assisted devices.
Ma'am, that is in the current RFA that was for the FY27.
You removed that previous.
Yes, ma'am.
Got
Yes.
it. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, I know you were going to have a question in this section. Okay.
Unpredictable. Can you talk a little bit about why we removed the small businesses support? Because if we're saying the VBOC is going to replace it, the VBOCs tend to be very, very geographical, and are we covering all areas?
Commissioner Wright, we had a discussion with the executives, and I was instructed to remove it just because of the VBOP. Not more discussion. Whole discussion was talked about areas of coverage. We just knew that the VBOC provided that. And another thing is, in the RFA, it states we cannot duplicate services. So the VBOC is a service. So we include the small business is duplicating the VBOC services.
I need to get in and understand more what the VBOCs are going to do. I see it a little bit as 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but I'm gonna need to do some more research. Thanks.
Yes, sir. All right. And then under general assistance for Annex B, Appendix 1, which is a general assistance grant category, we changed some monies amounts and timeframes under
Irv,
more.
Can you just for the sake of time,
yes, ma'am.
We have some people on the commission and other people that need to leave a little early.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you summarize just like the most important thing that changed that you think that we need to know about? We have the document in front of us, or point our attention to Annex B, any changes we need to.
Annex B
for this section.
No, ma'am, not until we get into, well, Housing for Texas Heroes, but that's what we kind of talked about. So no, nothing major in the Annex B, Appendix 1. Everything's relates to stuff that we already talked about.
Okay, so just changing dollar amount, periods of time.
Yes, ma'am.
Because of extending the grant to 2 years.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's really all that was the changes in the Annex B. Okay.
Yes.
That's the type of summary we need.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. All right, moving to Housing for Texas Heroes. Appendices. Again, we removed weatherization. We talked about that. One key thing that we added on there, ineligible clients in bankruptcy or that has filed for bankruptcy eligible services. Again, we don't know and the grantees don't know, but if somebody self-discloses that they're in bankruptcy. And on the veterans' mental health, that is, so moving to the changes that affect veterans' mental health, we are removing non-clinical mental health services.
Can you hold on back for the Housing for Texas Heroes?
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Isn't the purpose for Housing Texas Heroes is to rehome homeless people, which may or may not be bankrupt? Or is that not the purpose of this program? What is...
No, ma'am. Again, this is so for homelessness, that was in previous years, and that's been removed from the Housing for Texas Heroes. That was in previous years, probably at least 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's mainly to renovate a home to support, say, a disabled veteran.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure I understand. That makes sense now.
Yes, ma'am.
And we don't have a program so homelessness is handled other ways.
There is a homeless program under the general assistance.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, continuing with veterans mental health. Again, we removed non-clinical mental health services. And ma'am, your question in our discussion is, talking with VMHD, they are providing peer support services. There was a confusion in the language of who's providing those peer support services, and that was a confusion between us and VMHD, but they are. We're removing that, so any peer support services, but we are adding experiential therapy services, which is more of those adventure therapies, creative art therapy, recreational therapy, equine therapy, and adventure therapy. Again, added better language, stronger language of who can provide that and what exactly are those therapies. So that is a major change that we've added in the mental health.
Okay, so we have two situations that are kind of changing. One is we have this VBOC program now, providing new services we never provided before, which now duplicates and overlaps with grantees doing the same thing. Obviously, we don't want to compete with ourselves, right? So we just do it out of our GR, right? And then also moving over from Health and Human Services, we took over the peer support services as part of one of our services. So again, funding other organizations to do purely peer support services would be duplicative. However, if they happen to do an experimental therapy service that may have peers in it, but is still meet the requirements of our, say, creative arts therapy or something, then they could still get funding.
Correct.
And does that have to have a clinical base? I'm looking over at Brenda. I'm sorry. The experimental therapy services, what is the... I remember when we added this, there was much discussion. Doesn't it have to have some type of certified somebody running this?
Yes, ma'am. The therapists are certified therapists in that particular field, and they know how to use. The most common one is equine. They know how to use a horse to provide mental health services. Art is another one we have. We've had a previous grantee that had art therapist, music. So they use that music to provide mental health.
So that it extends certification.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So I'm concerned. I mean, not that we could do anything about it, but I think there's a lot of veteran county service offices that file for their grant under peer support services. There's at least one in the past that I've seen. In this case, they wouldn't be able to do that. They would have to file under some other area like transportation services or financial assistance.
Yes, ma'am. And when we get to the Veterans County Service Officer, we'll talk about that, about where we are limiting them of what services they can provide.
Oh, okay. We'll wait.
All right.
We're almost there. Sorry.
All right.
Okay. So again, commissioners, just to let you know, we are removing peer support services. Okay. Okay.
All right. Again, and their clinical counseling, we removed any of the peer support services because we had included peer support services under the clinical counseling services as an extension. So we removed that off of there as well. Under the veterans,
we have one more question.
Yes.
Directly on that point, under mental health, we had peer counseling, which is our MVPN programs.
Correct.
And with clinical counseling, was there another one, or are we down to just clinical counseling?
So under the VMH, we'll have clinical counseling, the experiential therapy, and the service dog.
And that's right. Thank you.
And there's no changes to the service dog. All right. Moving to the Veterans Treatment Court, added applications, grants specifically intended to serve justice involved or incarcerated veterans must be submitted under the Veterans Treatment Court category and administered by the Veterans Treatment Court. That's a big language there. Again, we had organizations. It's kind of confusing, but we had organizations or counties, VTCs, apply, and really what we're trying to do is a VTC should be serving under a VTC grant is serving incarcerated or justice involved veterans. We had VTCs apply under VMH grant and awarded, and we didn't find out till later, and they're providing only to those incarcerated individuals or justice involved. And the same thing, they also applied for a financial assistance grant, and they're only providing services to justice involved incarcerated individuals.
So in addition to their VTC grant, they had 2 other grants to do their VTC stuff, but
Yes,
they
ma'am.
did it under other grant categories.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
You want them, if I have a VTC and I want to fund both my staff and the services to run the VTC or whatever, and the mental health program and financial aid, it would all be rolled up into their one VTC grant application,
That is correct, ma'am.
which has a $600,000 limit
Yes,
over
ma'am.
2 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Regardless of the size of the VTC.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right.
They can apply. Okay.
And same thing for the VTC. We removed some of the mental health services that we're discussing about peer, and we revised some of the allowable services. Same thing with the financial assistance piece, matching more of the financial assistance. All right. So now to the Veterans County Service Officer, and we remove this opportunity includes we remove mental health from them. So the Veterans County Service Officer can apply for 2 grants, is what it comes down to. So they can apply for a general assistance, either financial assistance or a transportation grant, which is 2 of the most common grants that Veterans County Service Officers apply, and a Housing for Texas Heroes grant, which is another common one that they apply. So we're removing the mental health piece from the county service officers. A big discussion we had is the county's supportive service office or our other office that deals with mental health could apply under the VMH grant category.
Gotcha. Yes, Commissioner Wright.
And very quickly, didn't we see a lot of that this past year with the MHMRs of various counties were applying for their grants?
Yes, Commissioner, yes. And some of these VMHRs are tied to the county, but they're not a county. Just the way they run their business, they're not officially a county.
I haven't figured that one out, but that's okay.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Yes, sir. And that concludes my presentation. So Grants for Veteran Services recommends that the commission move to approve the request for application and associated government documents as presented, covering the fiscal year 2028 and 2029 grant period.
Thank you, Irv. Appreciate you. Okay, you do have something. Okay.
Yes, so I just wanted to bring up that was there any amendments that you were going to make to the?
Yes, yes.
That's all.
I was not done. Yeah, so I was just so Irv is complete. So commissioners, does have anyone want to make any changes to the RFA? I mentioned there's at least one that I want to make and one question I still have outstanding. Okay. Okay, so going back to the eligibility of 4.8.
The funding amount per organization.
The funding amount per organization. I see a bunch of the changes. So basically what you're saying is they have to provide you, and this is non-government agencies. This is nonprofit because government agencies don't have to do this.
Correct.
But if it's a non-government agency and they're an organization, they have to provide you with an IRS form of one of these 3.
Correct.
And based off of how much is on that IRS form, which I have no idea what needs to be on this, okay, we will limit how much they can ask for.
Correct.
And if they ask for more of that, we could potentially lower them below to that number, or do we just automatically mark them as ineligible?
The way the RFA is currently written, they would be ineligible.
Okay. And so okay, I think that's a little harsh, but we can, there could be conversations. Okay. Why would it be only 1 year net asset when we're doing a 2-year grant?
Because the documents are looking at that 1 year. The document, when looking at their financial stability, the IRS form they submitted covers 1 year, and also the compiled financial statement covers that 1 year.
Yeah, but they're asking for a 2-year grant. So why wouldn't they be able to ask for a grant 2 times their annual gross receipts? Because it's a 2-year grant.
Right. Understand that, ma'am. But I did not look at it that way. I'm just looking at what their current financial standing is with the documents that they've provided.
Okay. That's my point, is that's why I kept on saying, remind us this is a 2-year grant, remind us it's a 2-year grant, because we're keeping the 1-year requirements on a 2-year grant. So basically we're saying they could never get a grant
Yes, ma'am.
more than half of their annual income.
Yeah.
And so the point of this is this will essentially double their income
Correct. Could, yes.
for a particular year. And we think anything more than that might not be able to be absorbed. Is that the concern?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, this is financial stability. Yes, it's a requirement that's in there that we have to check organizations' financial stability. And again, it's just we're forecasting based on the documentation they submitted. So yes, I mean their current financial standings could predict. I mean they could, after they submit, they could get other grants or other monies and be better standing, but we won't know because that's not the documents they submitted.
Okay. Commissioners, thoughts? Yes, Commissioner Wright.
So, semi-related to this, and I concur with the chairwoman's point. We talked about a nonprofit that had a negative balance, and that's entirely possible. The example that I thought of, they have a building that they work out of. The building needs a new roof, it gets hail damage, whatever it is. It's entirely possible that they go into a negative for 1 year just from the fact that they have large capital expenditures. And I agree with the chair. I think we need a little bit of flexibility to look at an organization and not just immediately say, oh, you're ineligible. Do they have extenuating circumstances? And again, I realize every time we put something in there like that, it's more work. And I'm just trying to foresee problems. Again, back to the idea of I'd like to say yes more than I say no. I say I, the royal we. Anyway, just a thought to throw out there.
Okay, so coming out of this meeting, we need to have some wording in RFA so we can approve it so they can send it out. So specifically for section 4.8, I'm going to see if I can find that. And so if I look in the RFA marked up copy.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'll go to section 4.8, which is on page 10. Thank you for meticulously documenting this stuff. It is very helpful. An organization may not request more than, and then you crossed out 2 times, recommending that we uncross that off. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The annual gross receipts reported to the IRS. And then you crossed out and must have net assets equal to or greater than the requested amount reported to the IRS. I don't know why, because you can't confirm that.
Yeah, well, ma'am, I added the net assets on further down.
Got it.
Yes.
Units of local government are exempt. Got it. So then why did you pick 50K for the 990N?
Ma'am, so an organization operating under their net assets under 50K, they just submit to the IRS saying, hey, I have less than $50,000.
Got it.
So
perfect. That's a good answer. 990 EZ, why 200? Is it under 100,000?
That is the requirement for IRS.
Okay. But again, should it be 400 instead of 200?
Well, in the 990 EZ, an organization that operates between $50,000 and $200,000 uses 990.
2-year grant. So it's be 400. See what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's update that number 2 to 400,000. Just 2-year thing's kicking our butt. It's kicking my butt.
So number 3 would be the maximum funding limit.
Could I recommend funding? Because as you said, it's 50 to 200,000, basically 2 times their gross revenue. up to a maximum of 600,000 or 400,000.
So would,
In other words, if somebody's at 75, they can't ask for 400. They could ask for 150 in gross revenue.
Okay. So the proposal is, and I'm not going to do an amendment because I haven't done a motion yet. So we're going to, when we make the motion, we're going to say as amended verbally, and we'll make sure we got it all right. So for section 4.8, let's remove 2 times. We'll move the cross out of 2 times, keep 2 times in there.
yes, ma'am.
I like across more than one grant applications. That's a great idea. And then for 990N, again, do they have a dollar amount on that 990N?
No, ma'am. There's no dollar amount. We will get their compiled financial statement. We can look to see where they're at, but it's all under 50,000. I mean, they could be operating with $1 and we're giving them several $100,000. That is.
Yeah, but they have to have gross assets. I mean, they have to still. Okay, I see what you're saying. So let's update 1 through 3. So it's no more than twice of their annual gross receipts.
Yes, ma'am.
Or, yeah, no more than twice their annual gross receipts. And put that as a caveat for all 3 of those categories.
Yes, ma'am.
So, commissioners, everyone okay with that wording?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a clarification.
Yes.
So when you get a grant to a grantee, you give that money over 2 years, or you give it all up front?
So, Commissioner, they're a reimbursement grant, so they must spend first and we'll reimburse them. But they have access to that money the entire time frame. So again, last year we had an organization that was awarded, I think, $150,000, and they spent it in 3 months. So,
and your concern is that for an organization that's exceeding the 2 times their budget, that there's a risk, right?
Yeah.
So is there no way that you couldn't put language in there that would say contingent upon the next year's IRS statement to show that they're still in good standing and kind of withhold that? Or do we not get in the business of withholding the funds? It's here's your money.
Yeah, Commissioner, this grant is not a continuation grant. It's here's your money, spend it for the next 2 years.
So the risk is more on us. The risk is on us because we now are carving out $200,000 of our money to give to this organization, hoping it serves those veterans. And if they can't spend it, we just wasted that opportunity to give it to somebody else. So the risk is more on us that they won't spend it. And then we'll have money left behind, which we do every year. Okay, so that's the first one. So we know the 4.8 changes. Everyone aligned with what we're making that change with? I'm looking at Chip. He's saying yes. So I trust. Okay. Then 5.5 is the other one. Again,
requested funding, applicants marked ineligible.
so just if they apply for something, they're ineligible. Like there's no opportunity for us to say, hey guys, you over applied, reapply within your number amount.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Chip, anyone? Tom, thoughts on that? Because I feel like that's a little harsh.
Well, we assess it. So I think currently what we do is they bring it up. They bring it up to me. Sorry. And then I make the final decision. So we could put something in there that, we assess everyone individually, so they are, recommended for ineligibility, but we can assess it and then, make that determination case by case that's what we do now. But, it could put some language in there that depending on what their, ineligible is, that we can, get that document from them or get or have them, ask for something, at a lesser amount that fits within their budget. So I guess we can do something in there that, says that we will.
Because I'm looking at the 4 reasons you're ineligible. 1 is you didn't complete your application on time. Totally legitimate. 2, there's a federal exclusion. Okay. Legitimate. you don't have a right to transaction business in Texas. I don't know how you're going to fix that, right? So, and then 4 is you accidentally didn't read every single word of our RFA, which is really even hard for me to understand, and accidentally over applied above my IRS number.
But then there's 5, financial stability, 6, next loss, 7, invalid license, 8, excess organizational funding, 9, unallowable expense. So, I mean, there's each category. I mean, one thing we could do, and we did do this some years, is that we do reach out to the organization to see if we can resolve the issue. And some of, like, if they're missing something in their application, then we can give them a chance to turn it in before I deem them ineligible. So, you know, there is some, some ability to do that. But in some cases, you can't do that because, they don't operate in Texas, so they're not going to be able to
Right.
solve that.
I mean, so again, net loss is in this category.
I mean, ma'am, the easy fix, if the commission so wants, is if somebody over applies their maximum, it's a simple for our staff. So like contact the grantee or the applicant and say, hey, your maximum allowable by the previous table or chart says you can only apply for X amount of money. You've exceeded that. We're reducing you and you're moving forward at the maximum amount.
That option. Just say either you reapply or you.
I mean, they at that point they can say no, I withdraw, or yes, I'll continue at the reduced amount that the maximum allowable for that particular IRS form that I'm using.
Right, and in this category is also the net loss, which we just added for. Why did we add that?
Again, we had organizations, again, it falls under this financial stability. I know Commissioner Wright asked about that. I mean, that would require some serious looking into people's finances or organizational finances. It could be done, but it would be time consuming. I don't think we have the time to do it over the application submittal time frame.
Right, but we're adding a requirement we didn't have before. And so I would rather us not add something we haven't fully thought through, but then add it in.
So,
and if you want to add it as a risk category, go at it. But I don't feel like we know enough to say you're immediately ineligible just because you have a 1-year net loss on a nonprofit.
Yes, ma'am. I will move it to the risk.
Okay, so we'll move net loss to the risk.
Okay,
I think that's a great option.
If you want, we could put in a phrase also, and ineligible that the staff will contact, the organization, before we recommend ineligibility.
Yes, I think we owe our applicants
Okay,
at
so
least
let's
something.
do that.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that, sir.
Okay, on the ineligible applications, right, which ends up the executive director makes a final determination. Okay, but prior to that the staff will contact the applicant, to verify, the ineligibility. You make a statement like that, which means we'll contact them, because if there's some things we can resolve, like they didn't turn in a document, right, or there's the funding, how much they applied for. We want them to reduce that amount, then we can resolve that.
So we're going to be contacting organizations to get them eligible, or give them time frame to eligible.
Be resolved.
And how much time are we going to give them? In previous years, ma'am, when going very back, we used to organizations that, and it was one document, it was financial documents, and organizations would either submit something or nothing, and we were contacting organizations, hey, you're missing your financial document. And back then it was the IRS form. We would give them 5 business days, and that stretched both in the document and the time frame. So it just kept stretching and stretching. So eventually we took it out. and now it appears the commissioner wants to put it back in. So we can contact organizations, hey, you're ineligible. This is why you're ineligible. Can you fix it in X amount of days?
Yeah, and it was a recommendation of staff to take it out to last time. And I did question whether that was a good decision or not. So,
So I guess we could put something in there. If we want to make it clarification, I would recommend putting in there the staff will contact the applicant, within 5 days. We will contact the applicant to determine ineligibility or to verify ineligibility. I mean, that's what you're doing, right? And then, but it must be resolved within 5 days of receipt.
Yes, sir.
I don't have the terminology correctly, but that's the theme. The commission wants to put that back in and then take out number 6. Take out the net loss and then put that language in there that the staff will contact the organization to,
yeah, I feel like we're making it harder and harder for somebody to apply and making it unappealable. You get told afterwards, you don't get any chance to comment on it. And then it doesn't even go before the advisory committee for discussion. Just opening ourselves up to test our complaint system. Go ahead.
Sure.
Commissioner Wright.
So part of this, I think, is, and it's one of the reasons, and I like the wording that we have better with 4.8. But my question comes down to 2 questions. They are not ineligible, and I can't remember, but it was the first week in December. A grant, so I put a grant in and it's got problems, and one of them is ineligible. It's not officially ineligible until December, correct?
Commissioner, yes. So it goes through the process. The staff reviews it. I review it, and it goes up. I can change it. I can change the ineligibility if I so discover that the staff did overlook something or they too stringent, but
not quite as harsh. The other point that I was going to ask about is there a way for our computer? So again, I'm back to I've got a nonprofit. I made $75,000. I'm applying for 150. But if I apply for 155, is there a way in that computer that I can instantly see, boom, I've exceeded the amount I'm eligible for? I don't know. I've never worked the computer system.
Currently not.
Okay.
Okay, so I think this was the main touching point. The 4.8, we know about the twice amount. Under under 5.5, the twice amount again needs to be removed.
Yes, ma'am.
I think under the main paragraph over 5.5 where it says ineligible applications. So I'm okay with keeping 5.4 the same. 5.4 says there are no appeals to the decision on eligibility. I'm fine with that because what we're going to do is talk to them before we make that final decision, right? So under 5.5, we'll have a sentence that says, prior to making a decision on eligibility, TVC will contact the applicant and to resolve any issues that can be resolved.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it might not be resolvable.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you could put that you have, I don't know if you want to put it in the RFA or if we even need to, but we'll just say we'll contact you, and then we could then in the comments tell them we expect a response within certain days. Okay, did you want that in the RFA? Chip, come on up.
Yeah, yes, I would rather have it in RFA.
Okay, so 5 business days. You have 5 business days to coordinate. Yeah, we have a quorum because we have
Yes, ma'am. That's what I was shaking my head back there. That to make it, to keep it consistent, I would say 5 business days. That makes it consistent for everybody. Okay.
Okay. So we'll put that sentence in 5.5 under the sentence.
Yes, ma'am.
You understand our intent?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Commissioner Wright, are you good with if we add that in there?
Yes.
Okay. So, and then Commissioner Wright and Commissioner Hernandez, first of all, we can't leave because we're a quorum, so go nowhere. Are you comfortable with removing the DD 214 before service requirement that we talked about previously? They were saying that before you can provide service, you must validate eligibility of the client. And I said, I don't think that's appropriate.
I'm thinking that one through, and I'm not 100% certain I agree, because we're only allowed by state law to provide service to veterans.
We're only allowed by state law to reimburse for services provided for veterans. These organizations can provide services to many different people.
Ma'am, is by me. So the issue is, again, we do not get the veterans paperwork when reimbursement shows up. When compliance shows up, that is when it's discovered. So it could be anywhere from $100 to as well over $10,000. So an organization now owes us that money back.
So I would have you say you need to have that before you apply for reimbursement.
Yeah, that is a requirement. Yes.
You have before you provide the service. That's what you said to me. That's what I was asking. If I'm I'm about to be kicked out of my home and I need money to pay my bill, and you're like, hold up, you need to go find your DD 214 before I provide the service to you. That's what you said was in the wording.
That is new wording. Yes, ma'am. The actual wording that's currently in there and has been there since the very beginning is for reimbursement, you have to have proof of eligibility.
Got it. Okay. I don't want to change.
Okay.
Is there a reason why you wanted to add it before service? Because I think it's going to.
Again, to help the organizations, because we go visit and now they've provided all these services. Veterans can't get reached. And now organization owes us $10,000 and now they're struggling to pay us back. So it runs into that issue of we TVC is providing services to individuals that were not verified as veterans.
Okay.
So if I may add another monkey to that wrench, I can whip out my driver's license. It says veterans on it. The state's already checked my DD 214. Are we requiring a DD 214 or is a driver's license?
Again, Commissioner, there are certain things because some organizations state they only serve particular type of character of service. So your driver's license should have been honorable or general under honorable conditions, if I'm correct. And
maybe right.
But they're depending on who they serve. In most cases, we tell them, hey, if you're going to serve everybody, there's more options out there. So yes, a driver's license could cover that. If somebody, for example, if they're only serving this honorable discharge, right? You're not going to get that in a driver's license. You would have to have a DD 214.
Okay. At some point, I think the onus needs to be on the organization to confirm who they're providing service to. And there's a little bit of risk on their part.
Yeah, again, yes, correct. But I'm just trying to help the organizations out by putting that into language. We've told them before. I've told them again, given my experience as a case manager out there helping veterans, your veteran comes in and get their service and they're gone. In most cases, hey, I got my rent paid.
Yep.
I'll see you next year or however long till I get it again.
Okay.
So how is the wording? Maybe it's how you I want to see the exact wording. Which page is that on? Because it might be okay how it's worded.
That is under grant programs requirement. Hold on, ma'am.
It's probably under section 3 somewhere.
It's in the FY program requirements, and we're opening it up right now. It should be section 5, which is page 5 of the program requirements. The very second paragraph, first sentence. That's new. That's why it's underlined.
But what if, so I guess, what does that give us putting that in there? Because it says must. What if they got it a day after? Are we going to not reimburse them?
No, that should be good. Yes.
But that's what you said prior to providing.
Well, again, ma'am, trying to make sure that the organization has that document in hand, because just by experience and all the organizations that we've worked with it's not in, it's a constant thing where organizations, again, provide a service to a veteran and the veteran gets the service. They don't have the documentation and they're gone. The veteran doesn't appear, can't find them for whatever reason. So again, you're right. They do have to have the document before eligibility. We cannot verify that, or I'm sorry, before reimbursement, but we cannot verify that until we are there on the ground looking at said case.
Got it. I am aligned how the concept I am. I just want, I'm kind of stuck on the wording. It seems very restrictive when it's supposed to be helpful. So, I mean, if the purpose of this is to quote, help them, this seems more restrictive than helpful. I'm looking at the wording. Maybe the grantee should ensure they receive a copy of the eligibility documents at the time of service. So, something like that. But when we say must, it's kind of like, how do we even how do we even prove that?
Again, yes, you're right, ma'am. We can't prove it. We just show, if we show up, if they get it tomorrow, they provide a service today and they get it tomorrow, great for them. It's perfect, but because they have the document. But you're right, we can't, without being on the ground there when it happened, we cannot prove that they had it. But again, going back to what we're talking about is ensuring that
Yeah, so I'm not disagreeing with you. You and I are agreeing that this should be in here. What I'm saying is I think the word should be changed from how it's written.
Yes, ma'am. We can change it. We can change the language.
Yeah. So, and we're here, so let's talk through that. So, commissioners, do you agree that we should kind of adjust this language to be more helpful, which is the purpose of this sentence, versus restrictive?
Yes. Simple answer is yes. I agree.
So, a proposal, I will take others, is the grantee should request a copy of the client's eligibility documents at the time of service. Now it's being helpful. Now we're giving them guidance. And when they don't have it, we'll say, we said you should have asked for that. Because that's what we said in here. I think, does it give the same purpose, Irv? Does that help?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that's where I was kind of stuck on was.
Yes, ma'am.
I might be being too literal, but.
No, I understand. Yes, ma'am.
And the risk then is shifted back to the organization, because as the team goes in to evaluate the records, if they in fact haven't gotten it, then we have to turn around and then ask for the reimbursement back from the organization, because they don't have the supporting documentation. They would not pass an audit.
Right. I mean, and we want them to ask for the documentation. Okay. I think that was my only suggestion. So if we could make it more.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Helping versus restrictive. And then, so let's review the amendments we discussed. Otherwise, everything else, I completely understand why we did that. I think there will probably be some concerns from some of the organizations that used to provide some of the service categories that we now do. They'll be a little bit surprised by that, but it is a standing policy of this program that we don't duplicate services.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Irv, what do you have listed as the changes that we were going to make? Do you have it written down?
I had 4.8,
Okay.
which we talked about, and 5.5, the eligibility, the ineligible applicants for the 990, the net loss, which we're going to put that as a risk, and then the number 8, the excessive organizational funding over 20% in section 5.5.
Okay, so what did you have for 4.8 specifically,
4.8.
just so I know we're all aligned before we vote?
And what I had for notes for 4.8 was the additional the 2 times, and also all the listed 990s at the bottom, their maximum amount.
Specifically, the changes are. I'm sorry, I just want to make sure the wording that we're voting on, because we're voting on a verbal change. I want to make sure we have the exact wording right. And
Yes, ma'am. The wording for would be
for section 4.8.
4.8. Yes, ma'am. So the organization may not request more than 2 times the annual gross receipts reported to the IRS via forms 990N, EZ, or 990 across one or more applications. Units of local government are exempt. And then organizations may request no more than 2 times the gross receipts listed on their 990 N, EZ, or 990.
Do we need 1, 2, and 3, or does 4.8 cover it?
Yeah, you're right, ma'am. Yeah, the sentence under 4.8 covers it, I believe.
Okay, so I think we can get rid of 1, 2, and 3. So I liked what you said. So basically remove 2 times from that paragraph 4.8 and then get rid of 1, 2, and 3, because I think that covers everything that you wanted. So we don't have max for different types of forms. It's just twice the annual gross receipts.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think I'm aligned on what 4.8 changes. And then 5.5.
Yes, ma'am. 5.5, the ineligibility. I had number 4 requested the exceeds 2 times, but we talked about them correcting that. So do we want to leave it on there? So if they come back and they don't correct it, we can't get a hold of them?
Well, no, number 4, we're going to 5.5, number 4, we are going to remove twice. We're going to say twice the amount, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's going to read identical to 4.8. Yes, ma'am.
Agree. And then we also had talked about in the main paragraph of 5.5, adding that sentence
Yes,
about
ma'am.
contacting.
Yeah, TVC will contact applicant to resolve ineligibility issues. And 5, I didn't write it down, but the organization must comply within 5 business days.
I'm thinking most things can't be fixed, but
Right. And then we're moving net loss, we move to a risk.
yes.
And then the other one was number 8. I believe I just had a note on it, but I think we wanted to discuss it, but there was no other comments besides that.
Okay. I did not have a note on number 8. Other than we added it. Was it a risk before and now it's an ineligibility?
It was a risk, yes, ma'am. So discussion, and we decided to put it in eligible, but again, we can add it back to the risk if.
I think it's fine to move it to ineligible, especially since we're contacting them and giving them 5 days. Because if they come back and say, okay, remove all those.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm fine with keeping that. Any concerns with that, Chuck? Mike, any concerns with keeping number 8? We're on page 13 of the RFA, amended RFA. Oh, I'm on page 13 of the amended RFA. There's a couple different versions of it. The redlined copy.
It's page 13 of the marked up RFAs. And everything else, ma'am, I have covered. That was the only additional notes where we continued and we came back.
And that's all I had too. So, commissioners, any other questions or comments?
No.
Commissioner Hernandez, any other questions or comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been a lot of suggestions, recommendations, and amendings, and I'm sitting here looking at a screen, but I don't have the particular items that are being discussed. So I apologize not having input on your discussions, but that would be the only thing. My apologies for that.
No, I appreciate that. But I guess based off of the conversation verbally, do you have any other comments for Irv from his presentation of topics you want to discuss about amending?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to add, Irv or Chip?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I
Yes.
move with the recommended changes, we move to approve the new RFA.
Thank you for your motion to approve the FEA request for application. I will second your motion. And so any discussion. So as a reminder, since this is discussion period, this is a motion to approve the RFA with the verbal amendments we just went through with Irv, which are written down. And any questions? Any other discussions? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And those opposed? Motion passes. Okay. I do not have any reason. Do we have any reason to go into executive session or?
No, Commissioner.
Thank you. Okay, with that, that is the completion of our agenda item. Irv, I just want to say thank you so much and team for everything you did. I know there was a lot of work put in that. I just want to make sure that we just got to get ahead of some of the concerns that I know would come through. So appreciate you making those on the fly changes. Okay. With that, we need to set the next meeting, and it's always hard to set November meeting because it's always right around Veterans Day. But we had chosen, it's actually Tuesday, November 10th, right? Okay. At 8:30, which happens to be my birthday, and the Marine Corps birthday.
I was going to say, I didn't know it was your birthday, but it will be a fine celebration of the Marine Corps birthday.
Yeah, so we could celebrate both. I think we chose that because if we chose the 12th, it would hinder people from traveling and attending November 11th meetings. So, so our next meeting will be at November 10th here at the George H.W. Bush Building, Boardroom 300, in Austin, Texas at 8:30 a.m. And we have lost some of our commissioners and Tom. They all have flights to catch. So with that, I will pass it over to our secretary for any comments.
As I mentioned before to the people in this room, thank you very much for your work. I think the survey very clearly shows that we have excellent leadership, and I appreciate it because I hear it in the field. Everybody stay safe between now and then. We've got kiddos going back to school. Veteran season is about to begin. Enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hernandez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say welcome to Commissioner Cantu. Welcome. Thank you for your service. I know that you will enjoy your term in servicing our Texas veterans and their families. Madam Chair, Commissioner Wright, it's been an honor. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you for your dedication in serving our Texas veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. It's been an honor to serve alongside you. And I'll close it out with the final comments. One, I just want to, welcome Commissioner Chris Cantu. It's good to have another Commissioner Cantu back on the Veterans Commission. Previous chair was also Chair Cantu, so I do have to remind myself of that. And I know we're about to start busy season here. I know we are doing big check presentations. Veterans Day's coming up, and Vera Award, we're probably going to be giving out a whole bunch of different conferences, and we're kicking off the RFA and all the applications. So this is a busy time. I know we all kind of ramping up for this. So just thank you so much for all the hard work. I know we asked some hard, tough questions, but I know previous RFA reviews have also been the same. So it's I'm not picking. It's just we know that the importance of putting out this document and the implications afterwards on our process when we do it. So I appreciate the amount of work staff does and our team does to make sure this program goes off well and is fair, and it provides the best services to our veterans that we can do, and makes the best use of our dollars. So I appreciate all the time and effort we went into that. And if any of the amendments cause any heartburn, you could blame me. So, and I'll be glad to take any feedback, and we can adjust next year accordingly. But I appreciate your willingness to kind of hear us out on that. With that, I wish everyone a great fall, a great back to school. My daughters are on their second day and of high school, first year of high school. So quite a lot of things going on in all of our lives. So thank you for everything you do. And I just want to say this is still the best state than any other state to be a veteran. And we wake up every day making sure that's true. So thank you, everything you do. Okay. And at this time, our meeting is adjourned. I don't think we